What is up, YouTube? We're back. We're back in the Enclave Reborn Redux. The NCR is gone. The Legion is gone. We, as the United States, have reclaimed quite a good chunk of our former territory. Now, we're not done. We're not done. We still got to take out Ouroboros, which I regret turning on the Wild Wasteland mod, and a few other roving bands of potential problem. But as it sits, we're on a good path. I believe we've got a deck going soon. Mostly fucking allied with. Just Deanna, I think, right? Lone Tree, Data. We'll find out. We'll find out. World 7 looking vast, true. But yeah, we're back. We're going to continue our complete wiping off the face of the earth of all these problems. We're going to take out the Sorrows, potentially reintegrate the Dead Horses and a few others. As you can see, the AI is prepped and ready for a fight, so we're going to be having a good one on that. Now, starting off, reaching for the stars. President Granite, there's a Securitron outside your door, and it's got Mr. House's picture on it. Not the cowboy, Mr. House himself. Seems he wants to speak with you about something important. It's in regards to the reinstated Space Administration, which we haven't done yet. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Mr. President, while I typically loathe working with governments of any kind, you've proven resourceful beyond even my means. Just a few years, you have done what the NCR only dreamed of, what the Legion failed to realize, and what the Brotherhood could never achieve, and more than I in 200 years. For that, you have my respect. What I'm offering to you is a ground floor opportunity for most important undertaking on Earth, to shake the bonds of the planet and spread out amongst the stars. What I thought would take me 50 years, we can achieve in just a few months. In a few years, we can have a lunar colony. In a decade, a Martian colony, American colony ships searching for a new frontier. You have Bloomfield, I have the Repcon Aerospace. What I'm offering America is a future among the stars. All right, reinstate the Space Administration. Space mechanic. Fourth wall break here. This is just a test run to see how the whole thing works. Yeah, it's not a fully fleshed out mechanic. It's going off of experimental design documents from like Van Buren and a few other things. It's an interesting mechanic, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we're going to be really utilizing it because it's not fully fleshed out. So we could do this, spend some money, get a rocket, send it up, but it's good, but it's not useful, I guess is a good way to put it. As we left off, we were working on our manufacturing industry, so doing the Starlight Express, Department of Energy, all this fun jazz. Still need to finish out quite a few things. Let's go ahead and get... Yeah, let's get rebuilding the 4 states Commonwealth, so rebuilding Utah. Get that going, because we've already wiped all these fuckers out. And as the plan sits, our goal is to attack Ouroboros. Seymour versus Agent Orange. The lead scientist of Vault-22 project informed this Sheener team got the recycling system working, and they're starting to pump the defoliant through the vault. In other news, soldiers have made an assault on the 3rd floor, burning much of the space and spore carriers down there. Commander has noted that filters requiring less change, being our efforts to torch the place are reducing the level of spores infesting the vault. After a rest and refit, their plans to leading assault in the 4th of the vault, hoping by then to defoliate. The defoliant has done its job. God, I can't speak. But yeah, we're going to be going after Ouroboros here. We've got troops set up on the initial lines. We'll have to do Lone Tree, which is fucking where? I think they're dead. Yeah, Lone Tree's dead. They're dead. It's just her and Deanna that we've got to kill, which will be easy fights, mostly because Deanna's focus tree kind of gets locked if you don't have access to a few spaces. I like her tree, and we'll probably end up doing a series on her, but the problem is because she doesn't own a lot of her core territory, she's not able to do most of it. So that's the downside to her. But we will come back once we've got our war deck and see what's what. The fate of the Provisional Republic of Texas. Quite possibly the most successful Brotherhood chapter this side of the Mississippi and south of it. The Texas Brotherhood scored an early victory of Atlas's army, standing tall in the Texas wasteland, forming the bedrock of the Republic of Texas along Lone Star and Austin. With the annexation of Texas back in the United States, the Texas Brotherhood will be celebrated and remembered to the highest ideals and actions of the American Brotherhood, a fine legacy left by the Brotherhood hero, Elder Rhombus. Yank! As the game fucking crashes. And tries not to die. There we go. Good. Alright, now we've hit Texas. No more problems. Chemical Corps has been studying the poison cloud that permeates the Sierra Madre. It's horribly corrosive, self-replicating, and toxic to the skin and lungs. It prefers dead flesh and seems to have mutagenic properties. And why is it in a pre-war casino that we have no idea? Pretty standard for pre-war America, though. As for a weakness, it seems resistant to everything conventionally we throw at it. We can incinerate it, but only at extremely high temperatures. Leaves behind a residue we have to then dissolve in acid. Cryogenics, however, it seems to have the best effect, freezing the particles and causing them to fall on the ground. While this doesn't neutralize, it does allow us to collect them for acid disposal. This may be our only chance to pierce this cloud and find the source of this strange cloud. From there, it can be frozen, dissolved, and hopefully forgotten about. I'm resisting the urge to do an ice spun here or bury the place. No, we're going to keep going to the Sierra Madre. The assault team made its way down to the level 4 common areas, immediately reporting that the defoliant did its job. Much of the plant life is dead and decaying, and what left of it is, or what little is left, they are happily burning up. They've also come across possibly a dozen Scarporia remains, all dead by the defoliant, and are unceremoniously burned to bodies. The only real threat comes from the giant mantises that populate the lower levels of the vault. Hardly a problem for power armored soldiers. The science team has moved down and up and set up in the old Vault Seer's office and have begun taking air samples to determine whether or not it's safe to breathe. God. In a promising update, the injured scientist has returned to duty, thankfully not being infected or injured and is ready to get to work. Seems like a great endeavor. God, we got a lot to work on. It also reminds me I got to install a police force and construct power grids. God damn you. It also reminds me, where's my fleet? You can stop your naval invasion shit. We're going to post you up in Alaska. Why? Because... yes. You're absolutely going Alaska. Alaska. The assault team has reported they've entered the caverns beneath the vault, and they were beaten back not only by high spore count, but by the amount of spore carriers, spore plants, and giant mantises in the cave beneath. The officers requested that the effluent be deployed down there as well, and the barrels of the stuff are being prepped by the Chemical Corps. The science team, meanwhile, has begun researching into the vault and its food production capability. It seems a secret to the vault's expansive flora, none other than... I don't know. I think this is like flytrap, Venus flytrap? No, it's something else. The fungus has caused this mess. Well, we hoped it may be a side effect. This is a major setback as we can't hand out a fungus that turns people into plant zombie hybrids on the hope that they can grow more food. Damn. So we're still chewing on forward, getting us all going. Still making plenty of our power plants. As you can see, most of the wasteland has been pacified, at least in the Utah region. Washington's still kind of touch and go. Texas is just literally brand new, so they're going to be hurting for a while. But, I mean, we are able to keep up with resistance. Obviously, you can see we're not hurting on manpower, doing pretty solid at the moment. Fuck, we never even got to war economy, which is crazy. We never even fully mobilized to war economy, which we might at some point, just to fish out more fucking consumer goods factories. Oh, boy. So, yeah, see what we can do to kind of help bump that along. But cool, new laser rifle's been researched as well. That's the end of that tree. Let's see, do we need anything else? Arguably, let's get the atomic cannon because funny name, and swap over to the new pulse rifle weaponry. Is Caesar out of the 4 states Commonwealth? That is the question being asked by caravan companies, prospectors, and the travelers hoping to make their fortune in the Arizona desert. While the U.S. Army said that most of the Legion was destroyed in the battle, reports of ambushes by red-clad marauders and holdouts deep in the desert. Since the fall of the Legion, the federal government has restored the 4 states Commonwealth government in Flagstaff, using much of the infrastructure of the Legion to control the territory that aren't under direct federal control. Regardless of the Legion situation, the news has brought a deluge of individuals from entering the lands. Many have also turned their sights to Utah and Colorado, hoping to make contact with New Canaan and explore the legendary Dog City, which... did we get the Dog City? No, I don't think we did. Am I wrong? Yeah, we did get Dog City. Cool. We'll be able to crack open the AI. Crack open Warden. So, that'll be great. Should have given us some more events to do. Yep. So, all the legacies of the vaults, the Mormon faith. Yeah, let's see. Santa Fe Reborn. City of Dogs for sure. We'll do Restore Phoenix. Just keep chewing through all these, and we'll keep doing those pop-ups when we can. Other than that, I think we're okay so far. We're still working on some more turbines for the dam. Not that power's hurting, to be brutally honest, like from trade. I mean, we're sitting at 631, and like every once in a while I can spend a fuckload of cash, and we can just get another bump in power. So, it's not too bad. Next focus, though, I'm thinking... I hate that it does this every time. Next focus, I'm thinking, is definitely everything is bigger in Texas. Get the Texas Commonwealth going, which will be great. So that'll be fantastic. A White Sierra Wonderland. The crowd plan worked with the Army engineers and the modified vehicles and power armor. They cut a hole through the cloud, and from there, the frozen particles were collected for disposal, and a corridor of industrial fans were installed to supply the engineers working their way to the resort. As they approached in the city, however, they were taking fire from a series of crazed tribals in hazmat suits living in the resort villa. Being we didn't expect anyone to be alive, our troops weren't equipped to return fire and were forced to call in air support while reinforcements arrived. After a few hours of advancing under fire, from seemingly unending numbers of tribals, we've reached the gates of Sierra Madre and prepping to enter the resort now. Ooh, traders from Southern Empires. It really doesn't matter. We'll take the agriculture bonus and just keep going on. Keep going on. Don't think we can do anything with 20 PP. Yeah, 25 is the minimum to do any of these events, and we're going to get them in a few days, so. Still doing shinies in the BEG. Nice. So we'll just wait a couple of days. Let it chew through. How are we looking on our war deck here? Oh, it's done. Beautiful. Just in time. Go, my minions!
Enclave here.
Go! Crush the enemies! Under ye boot.
Enclave here.
I never gave you orders, did I? No, I did not. Go to the Roma Diana. Go crush Diana. These landing party spotted. It's fine. We've already dealt with the Legion, so those events don't really do anything for us. Oh yeah, they're cooked. It's over. Freeing Phoenix. Ooh, hold on. Hold the fucking phone. Phoenix first. Phoenix has seen better days in the wasteland. That's saying something. As the economic center of the Legion, it was prime target for Air Force. It's left the city in utter ruins. Of course, there's nothing new in Phoenix. The decades of fall of the Great War, the city became a breeding ground for chaos and tyranny. A fanatic cult, the Church of HOI4, rose from the ashes of a pretty pacifist and humanitarian religious group, with its members being mostly dedicated to the collection and preservation of pre-war books. Of course, nothing stays the same in the wasteland, preaching a twisted doctrine of fire and rebirth, holding the city in a grip of terror. However, Caesar's Legion expanded its brutal empire across the southwest. Phoenix transformed into a major economic hub under its control. Infamous as a mass slave trading center that fueled the Legion's war machines, our campaign was just another piece in the Phoenix's sordid history post-war. Since the city's liberations, all the markings of the Legion were demolished, and the surviving population was liberated and given the chance to rebuild their lives under our protection. Ironically, the old slave-holding pens are now housing captured legionaries as we figure out what to do with them. The city's infrastructure was revitalized with a focus on restoring essential services and rebuilding iconic Arizona state capital, symbolizing the return of lawful governance to the region, not wasteland tyranny. We've seen since Phoenix reinstated as the capital of Arizona, marking an area of prosperity and freedom. The reclamation of Phoenix was celebrated as a major victory not only for the United States, but also for those who the process of America. Arizona has been returned to Phoenix and get some free infrastructure. Cool. We'll do this. After a liberal application of defoliant flamers and even a few incinerators, we found that the caves around the vault had been cleared. Casualties remain low. Sadly, one of our engineers was ambushed by a pack of spore carriers. Those said carriers were quickly turned to ash by quick-acting troopers nearby. Air quality tests confirmed no trace of spores, but demolition teams are standing by. Flamers in hand as scientists conduct more sample tests. Last thing we need is a spore carrier and power armor. During operations, we encountered ghouls stranded in the cave. She was a raised area? What? Thus she didn't hail in the defoliate. The ghoul, a scientist named Keeley, wasn't expecting the cavalry to save her and is grateful for the rescue. She's offered her expertise to our science team and has been studying the vault as a former NCR officer of the science and industry. It's thankful we weren't trying to use it to grow crops. What's more, she thinks she can assist with the lead on our scientists have been developing. Perfect. It's gone to the dogs. Denver's a special case in the wasteland, not least of which is because the city is overrun by dogs while being controlled by the hang dogs. They never controlled the city itself. Instead, they roamed the outskirts while the city itself was literally overrun with thousands of packs of wild dogs. Despite all this, they came to a distinct savage culture. These scavengers formed a relationship with these hand dogs that changed somehow with the arrival of Caesar and more or less ended upon our survival. Thankfully, we're better equipped with these things than tribal savages or legion. Killing these dogs shouldn't be a problem. It's just all those nasty packs of feral dogs are all run by cyber dogs, and they can get nasty. Thankfully, we managed to get our hands on an old shutdown signal from Denver PD and neutralized all of the dogs and brought them into our employment. All that was left was to send the army sporting power armor, air support, mechanized units, and itchy trigger fingers. This has cleared out the last swaths of what was called Dog City. Perfect. Get some cyber dogs going. We'll go ahead and do... we'll do Santa Fe Reborn next. Yeah, our basic Klamath. We're just going to keep pushing on through. They don't even have the numbers to contest us. We're just going to sit here and grind them down. It's our best option, honestly. Yeah, they can't defeat our power armor units at this point. We're so power tripping on Unstoppable, it doesn't even matter. Wait for the game's autosave and hopefully not crash. There we go. And our Air Force is up and running as well, so we're pelting them. It's a shame a lot of our Air Force has just been completely shot to shit. Because we're still working on weaponizing the Air Force. It's just we only make 2.9 a day, and our efficiency isn't fully up, so when you have to restore 1,400 fighters, it's kind of hard. Oh, what can you do? Oh, cool, our railway guns are done. Let's go ahead and divvy them out. These are like nuclear payloads. Perfect. It's called Democracy, oh boy. Yeah, it's going to be a while before they can get useful. Everything bigger in Texas. A nuclear war, the Brotherhood, the Real Republic, Super Mutants, Santa Anna's robots could have kept Texas down. With the return of the Stars and Stripes, the president was in Dallas, marking the Texas city as the new capital of the restored Commonwealth that will now comprise Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. This marks a true deviation from the pre-war Commonwealth system that's in that Oklahoma was integrated into the Texas Commonwealth for administrative purposes, having formerly been placed in the Great West Commonwealth. The president, however, declined to express the reason why the reporters said it looked better on the map. Settlers moving in from the east advised by the new Commonwealth members that while the lands of Texas are more civilized than other parts of the country, they're still dangerous and unforgiving to those who are not prepared. Rumors of the Atlas remnants, haywire robots, and roving raiders in the eastern portion of the state are being reported. Caution is advised to stay with caravans, trains, and move with authorized U.S. Army convoys. Play the song. There we go. I'll let the song play. It's Territory I.O. It more or less is. A lot more complex, but more or less is. We don't need to worry about any of these. Realistically. What else can we do? We'll go through... Yeah, we'll go down through still the infrastructure path. So we'll get every man a car. God damn, I love Texas. That's all of our other increases. Oh yeah, Deanna's getting chopped up too. Our own, even our like bottom bay troopers are just whooping their ass. Yeah, this whole war, all this is just over. There's no doubt about it. We might have to push up to the rock springs, but we'll see. Nope, they're dead. Alright.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
Just wipe him out. That's all I ask of you. Wipe him out. We get our music back. Because we'll get Deanna to run the EPA for us. Because that's what she likes. She likes the nature. We'll get New Salt Lake City going. Reinstate Salt Lake City. Home of the Mormons. We will... Oh, cool. We've got the Vault resources, which is fantastic. I think we're going to take the... Yeah, we'll get the HEPA cartridges first. Mostly for the free repair. I think we still got quite a few things damaged. Yep. Yeah, they're desperate defensing. It's not going to matter. I'm sorry, Deanna. It's really not going to matter. You're not going to be able to win against my guys. You just don't have the... I mean, she has power divisions, which is insane. But you won't be able to win against the numbers here. I'm sorry. It's not going to work in your favor. Oh yeah, and we're getting the bonuses in from railway gun bombardment. Oh shit, yeah. No, they're completely fucked. Because that 10% does matter, especially in a game as like specific as this. And well, in the sense, yeah, we're power trippy as fuck at this point. It does matter in the long term. The Ibon Atoll, watching over the Maw. Yeah, a bunch of naval repairs. That reminds me, I should be able to do Alaska now. North to Alaska. See what's happened in the Sarah Palin state. The Legacy of Saint Leibowitz. At least how you saying? When we ride to Santa Fe, we were eager to get the old Santa Fe Railroad up and running and assist to moving supplies further east, as well as restore the old state capital to assist in controlling New Mexico. We knew Lanius ransacked the old city in 2275. However, we weren't expecting was for there to be survivors of his wrath. Through hiding, smuggling, memorizing, and guile, the remains of the Archdiocese of Santa Fe has managed to survive and were protected by a cohort of converted legionaries to the Christian faith. The monks and bishops of Santa Fe have managed to to save relics of the old world right under the Legion's nose. While hesitant, they are willing to work with us, given we didn't exactly shoot them on sight. Interesting to know is the Archdiocese might be the last non-Mormon or insane Christians left on the continent, something more than a few members of the Enclave are pleased about. This is, of course, an interesting side note, as we are eager to get trains up and running for our push east and restore the New Mexican state government. Fascinating. Open road! Although thousands of cars are still in use some 200 years after the Great War, few, if any, have been built. That changed with a decision to build a factory outside of Reno to build the, basically, Chrysler Highwayman. The Highwayman, rugged enough to drive off-road throughout the wastes, is powered by whatever fuel cells are lying around, represents America's can-do spirit. Economics estimate within the next 20 years, 1 out of every 40 Americans will own a car. Play Johnny Cash. Beautiful. And then we're going to do Department of Energy, get that going. And we have locked in. And that is Deanna falling. Well. Now let's Air Force Base restored. Perfect. That's Deanna gone. We will eat up all the territory. Nobody gets a piece. This is all mine. All mine. I'll take your navies too. Give me your ships. Surprisingly, I actually have some ships, which is insane. Whoop. Alright, cool. That's that done. Make sure to install the police force, construct the powerways. Keep doing this. I don't think we have any that we need to turn on at the moment, so I think we're okay on that regard. Let's see. Restore the watershed. We don't need to worry about any of this. We should get an event. Let's complete the GET project. Yeah, we'll be able to open up the nursery here in Paradise, which will be good. We'll go ahead and do the reservation next. Next target, though, is going to be tough to say. The dead horses are an ally, so we'll be able to integrate them. We are still technically at war because the AI fucking ate that, which is annoying. Tucson, I believe, is a... Yep, they're a vassal. You're a vassal. Judge de Sol's a vassal. Free Fighters is not, but they're an ally with them. It's tough to say who the next target's arguably going to be. So we'll have to see. Could go north up into Canada. Arguably may be worth it. But at the same time, there's some really fucking annoying borders. Is there anybody else we can get in kind of our coalition of shenanigans? Let's see. We can do Cover. Oh, well, I didn't want to annex them, but that's fine. We'll annex them up. Just annex everybody up. Yoink, yoink. Eat them all. And then we'll go ahead. We'll do the staging grounds. Deploy Gek there, get us some free infrastructure and civs. The Sorrows are not one of ours. No, they are not. Oof, we're gonna have to get war goals on it, but as it sits, I think we're okay. What are the other war goals? The Broken Coast. Yeah. Cover is our only bordering factor, I think. So, we could arguably set up for that. Maybe Middlemark as well to get Penny. But tough to say. Tough to say. We'll come back as we continue some more stuff. Arguably, I'm thinking maybe the Ruminators or the Free Cons is our next big target. Their borders aren't too shabby. I think wiping out the Cons, as fucked as that sounds. Ooh, they're in a mega faction. So this whole thing is one big fuck-off faction. Okay. That's not too bad. Because if we can wipe them out, then we only have a few we need to remain. So I think we're going to set up troops to deal with this.
That's a no one.
So we'll go ahead and get these guys set up for that.
This is Enclave main com.
You can do it here as well.
Who the hell is this? The president?
Go.
This is Enclave main com.
This is where the tedium kicks in because of all these goddamn mountains.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
We'll put you there. Perfect. Luckily, we have the men. We have the men to meet the requirements to do this conquest, which is a good thing.
This is Enclave
You're my
main com.
defense force. We'll go ahead and put you here.
This is Enclave main com.
Free Cons. Sorry, guys. You're just not up to snuff. You're not like Papa Khan. You didn't make enough chems, so we're calling in your debts. Alright, let's keep putting these guys up.
Enclave here.
Ruminators as well.
Enclave here.
You. Put you on board with the Marshals. Rapid City looks to be their capital, which is fine.
Enclave here.
And then we got another segment of the border there, but is there a crossing? There is, so we can take advantage of that. Okay, and that should be everybody in their mega faction. Yeah, just these. Okay. We'll be good in that regard. We'll be good in that regard. So we'll have to come back when something happens. Just as I unpause the recording, we get something. President Grenick, astonishing news. Air Force One, we found it. The ruins of the Denver International Airport. Scavenger teams reported a peculiar airliner with a certain amount of automated weapon systems covering it. When our troops approached, a recognized blue and white paint job, as well as the markings on the interior of the plane. Its worstware intact, and a few of our engineers believe that we can get the airliner flying again. That is, of course, if we want. I will soar on the winds of liberty. Wings is what I think it's meant to say. Super Fears is done. Beautiful. We're doing so far so good. We got a lot of stuff to work on here. In general, trying to think what else we want to do for a focus. Obviously, we've got to get that Gek one done. At the same time, what would get us the war goals of the North? I don't think there will be any. I don't think there will be one that'll like guarantee definitively get it one. We do need to get the Far Sun so we can get the mole miners, make America great, and all that crap. Probably want to restore Big Empty. We still got so much shit we've got to do across the board. Nuclear defense we need to get done as well because these bases need to be secured and online. That's going to take time. So God, there's just so much shit we have to do. So much fucking shit we have to do. Sifting through old Washington Brotherhood logs, Enclave Intelligence has come forth and found the Immortal was preparing an expedition to the head to Alaska to uncover several battalions of soldiers that had been cryogenically stored just prior to the Great War in case the Chinese ever invaded again. Colonel Callahan was not shy in his sarcastic praise of pre-war leaders, thinking it was a great idea to squirrel away soldiers after China was destroyed in the event they invaded again, and then kept it secret so that not even the Enclave was aware of this. Aside from getting our men back, there was a growing chorus to send an expedition to Alaska to reclaim its state, its vast riches, and manpower for the nation. Nor the fact that even pre-war, much of the state was inhospitable at the best of times. Most of the cities, towns, and villages relied on lower 48 for basic goods, or went off hunting as if it was still the pre-war pre-industrial era. Then there was the matter of the climate up there, with weather reports showing that Alaska has become an inhospitable white hell where if anyone survived, they would have gone insane or of little use to the nation as a whole. Outside Vault, is there anything else up there? Well, it's Alaska. Something else to survive, right? Spoiler alert, no. Ghosts in the Villa. A pitched firefight has erupted in the streets of the villa as our troops engage with endless numbers of what we thought were crazed, demented tribals. After capturing one, we managed to tear the suit and his head off to reveal not a man, but a mutant, one that had been never seen before. We explained that why they managed to get up after taking dozens of lasers to the face, that only disintegration or dismemberment seems to work. After learning that, our troops went for when they're issued weapons to using cryogenic equipment to freeze large amounts of them and then shatter them with a well-placed punch and a few kicks. This gave us an advantage for the time. We managed to establish a forward command post in a former police station. Curiously, we found evidence of a super mutant having been in the station, but it's nowhere to be found. Operations to clear the villa will continue through the week. Of interesting note, our troops have been collecting Sierra Madre tokens as sort of keepsakes for their venture, with some trying to collect as many as possible. They're just feral mutants. We've handled feral mutants. Oh god. It's a shame. I like Dog as a character in the Sierra Madre. He was a really, really interesting character. The economic resurgence from meeting all these places. Working on our tank tech, which is great. Wait, why do they need slaves? Servicemen took out Gatling guns, guarding the reservation with a few fat men and oversaw a facility with minimal Enclave casualties. 3 Dog here. Well, to be fair, that's Fallout 3 versus New Vegas. Still, 3 Dog. Great DJ. It's 3 Dog here. Ow! Anyway. Secrets revealed when they stormed a room labeled the Green Chamber. Vats contained humans with bloated stomachs and was dead silent save for a baby's cries. Somehow the ghouls had created a ghoul baby. One of the ghouls claimed these tests would ensure the future for ghouls with additional refinement, but most find using humans as broodmares to be horrific. Some of the ghouls plead for us to spare their youth and claim that they could reproduce on their own. We'll strip the facility, obviously, but we want to deal with these ghoul kids. So we can raise the ghouls to be loyal to the Enclave, eh? I guess spare the children? Kill the monsters. Spare the children, I guess. Look. We're the Enclave, but I mean, we can be selective. We can absolutely be selective, okay? The Mormon Faith, going next. Oh god, I've got so many of these I gotta do. Just keep going. There we go. Seriously, to play what the hell? Yeah, that's an eternal joke. Read that if you want, but that's just funny. Our construction's going well. We're able to keep up with all of our needs for electrical grids. The problem is a lot of our stuff is just so beat to shit, and we just need more civs. As it sits, we're not able to get above a certain amount of political power, so it kind of sucks. Cleansing the Villa. Get the Bald Eagle for 25 political power? Oh, I absolutely will be getting the Bald Eagle. You cannot say no to the Bald Eagle. We managed to push into Puesta de Sol and de Sol. With endless number of ghouls, ghost people's attacks becoming more and more desperate, made worse by the fact that narrow streets prevent precision vertebrate strikes. Observation has been seen that ghost people are emerging from under the city, probably in the city's sewers or maintenance shafts. The commander of the expedition has opted to create a hole in which the city's central fountain in the villa. To create a massive cavern for which prepared defenses can be used to analyze. Fucking kill them. Bringing back Salt Lake City. In the aftermath of the Great War, Salt Lake City was left in ruins, more or less abandoned for some time for roving scavengers and trade caravans. The city fell under control of the Mormons of the New Canaan, who tried to bring stability and faith back to the region, as well as rebuild the old city to its pre-war glory. However, their efforts were eventually hampered by the relentless assault of the Whitelegs in the 80s, as well as the corruption and degradation of the New Canaan Mormons. By the time they successfully flew the Stars and Stripes over flew over the city, it had been clear, seen better days. Yep. The city has undergone a massive restoration effort. If nothing more, it's not only on a vital caravan route, but the river caravans are eager to sail the Snake River in earnest. The damaged infrastructure was rebuilt. The Mormons who sided with us began work on restoring the iconic Salt Lake Temple. By the way, I have seen the temple before it was reconsecrated. It is a glorious, glorious temple. I have been in said temple in Salt Lake, because once it's consecrated, only Mormons are allowed in, was my understanding. Most importantly, however, we've officially reinstated the city as the capital of Utah, with the Utah government working with the military to establish law enforcement, reconstitute the Utah National Guard to hunt down and finish off the last of the White Legs Indians in the state. Good to hear. Makeshift automatic weapons, cool. We'll go laser boys. And we'll go ahead and get the bald eagle. Once at a restaurant in Salt Lake City that was all forging with dirt. It didn't last long. Interesting. Oh, we got a new railway gun? Shit. Oh, no, I don't think it can reach its target. That's okay. Department of Energy's done. Beautiful. We'll go ahead and do the GEC project. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And kept cruising forward. We wept when we remembered Zion. We may have liberated the people of Utah, but its inhabitants don't seem to act like it. Many associate us with Enclave purists who aided Caesar. Before the Great War, the United States government cracked down on Mormonism due to their opposition to security protocols. To Mormon eyes, we're occupying a people who have been freed since the Great War. As such, new Canaanite guerrillas kill our brave men and women and fanatics who quote the words of Joshua Graham. Where is Joshua Graham? He's right there. Muppet, I have Joshua Graham. Like the fuck? And swear to carry on the fire of the Holy Spirit before they stand before the Lord for judgment. Although we've promised the First Amendment protects the Mormon faith, we have to do something to hold this troubled land. Waging war against good people is bad for the soul. The children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem said, raise it even to the foundation. No. As much as I'd love to do this, no, because it breaks some events. Waging war against good people is bad for the soul. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll eat that. We found a survivor. Pushing through the residential district, we found a standard building clearing procedures hampered only by the prevalence of this damn cloud. During the course, though, our troops were surprised to come across a survivor, an intelligent ghoul by the name of Dean Domino, the famous pre-war singer. While we're surprised he survived this long, it's just as surprising the U.S. government is still a thing. He managed to smooth talk his way into having our troops not shoot him, but he remains trapped in his room. According to him, he was working alongside a courier who was finding their way through the Sierra Madre, and after a series of events, they were hard to believe. He was ready to return to the world, but he was stopped by his old room to collect a few things. However, one of the ghost people followed him, and in an ensuing scuffle broke his leg. He's been healing ever since. When he heard us approaching, he decided to lay low for a little longer until the shooting stopped. He asked for medical assistance. Pre-war singer, what a treat. Zion Matrix reference, true, Joe. The detonation worked, creating a massive hole opening into the depths of the ghost people's supposed hives. For a few moments, it was eerily quiet. Then our troops heard the howling of the swarm. Hundreds of the things came scrambling out. The prepared defense position was nearly overrun, with the ghost people cramming over dead bodies, ash piles, and rising from when they collapsed. It was a timely intervention of vertibird strikes to save their position. Our troops advanced into the dungeon below. Laser fire can be heard from the surface. The team's commander is requesting cryogenic support due to copious amounts of the cloud that's down there. How many were down there? Yeah, it's pretty bad. The Sierra Madre story is really, really fucking dark. If you think about it, because all the staff and all the scavengers. Ooh, hold on. No end in sight. And constant threat of the cloud. Progress seemed to be somewhat slow. We managed to take the Villa Clinic, which is home to a series of advanced auto docks, making the place a prime location for a 48 station. Attempting to push across the street, our forces were pinned down by highly accurate sniper fire. This is not the act of the ghost people. This was someone who knew how to handle soldiers in power armor. After an agonizing few hours dealing with some of the expedition's best sharpshooters and copious use of the auto dock, according to the assailant, what we had to guess, they stayed this entire time, and assault teams being prepared to storm the place. We recognize the sigil outside as the wings, gears, and the sword of the Brotherhood. Send a representative from the Brotherhood. Because we like the Brotherhood. They are American Brotherhood now. What do we want to do? Yellow Rose of Texas is really good. There's so many good ones. So many good ones. We don't own New Pecos. Yeah. Just down here, I believe. Yeah, fucking Canada is attempting naval invasions all over the place, which props to them, but we're not going to get here until we get through, like, the freedom fighters and this shit, so, oh well. We're going to go ahead and just keep chewing through, rebuilding the Rockies, because we haven't done any of the riches in the north yet, which is fine. So, wrong turn at Castra Sol Rumbum. And just keep pushing forward. So we got the GEC project. Oh, bald eagles. Yippee! Since retaking the nursery, our biologists and genetic engineers have been hard at work trying to recreate the extinct pre-war species. Chief among them is our national symbol, the bald eagle. We've been hampered by the facts the nursery wasn't exactly stocked with birds, but rather domesticated beasts of burden. It seems our national bird wasn't very high on Deanna's lists. While we were willing to overlook that, attempts to re-engineer it from what we had were slow at best, and then we found Vault 96, which is supposed to be an arc of genetic material for repopulation. Of course, Vault-Tec found a way to mess it up. Vault is largely decayed and abandoned, but aside from some looting and a mess of the X-001 chamber, its genetics bay remains largely untouched. Scouring it, our expedition finds a trove of untouched genetic material for the bald eagle. We've sent them back to the nursery under heavy escort. Like America, our national bird will rise again. Mega massive with 2 heads! Center of Colorado, nestled in just west of Bloomfield, the Yuma Proving Grounds has a storied history. It was where West Tech's field tested their first suits of T-45A power armor, ushering a new age of American dominance onto the battlefield, shaping the planet for centuries to come. The venerable T-51A and even the T-65 series saw their first field tests here, and those very same suits were found secured away in the base's museum. Thankfully, the Legion avoided this place as much of the heavy automated defenses were still in operation by the time we arrived, allowing us to secure the base and bring it up to speed without much trouble. For now, it's being used as a depot and an armory for until the time to test new advanced weapons can be put to the ground. Perfect. Fleet reports from Juneau. Ever since the fleet set sail, it's been receiving reports to investigate the Panhandle, as well as the state's former capital at Juneau. Sailing up to the Frozen Isles, several birds flew over the old state capital. It's not looking good. The harsh climate that's dominated Alaska following the Great War has left the city frozen in time. There are a few nuclear craters identified, and judging by the wrecks in the water around the area, a few landed in the ocean. However, the city streets are deserted. Not even a single sign of raiders or other rogue elements you'd find in any abandoned post-war city. A few power armor units sit down near the old Capitol building, and even a few robots that patrol the area were frozen solid, their circuits long destroyed by the harsh weather. It was here where there were signs of life, but it was feral ghouls that crawled out of a car park. We say ghouls as it was the closest approximation our soldiers could get. Reports say that they were black skinned, had red eyes, were missing limbs and body parts, likely from frostbite. The team retreated back to the fleet before alerting any more of the creatures. Looks like nobody survived. Yeah, which makes sense. Accursed Shelter. Oh boy. We're really pushing all the storylines here. Cleaning crews and a few archaeologists have entered behind our troops to sift through the wreckage and clean the frozen cloud residue. A few discovered a set of notes written by the predecessors of the Ghoul People, preserved through time by the cloud. Upon reading it, we've discovered to our horror that the Ghost People are the mutated remains of the resort's construction crew, staff, and police. Many of them cursed Sinclair, the previous owner, and many have expressed horror of what's become of them. A few others, probably medical staff, documented their mutation. Tragedy aside, the opening has effectively opened a second front in our cleansing of the Sierra Madre, with surface forces pushing into the villa, and a third team being prepped to assault the resort casino itself. Compared to the vaults, they got off easy. Depends on the vault. T-60 power armor's done. Let's get some jetpacks. Going. It eats radiation. Our research into the plant revealed some interesting insights. While it is deadly and a horrible fungus that should be purged from all records, it does have one quality. The damn thing eats radiation. Sort of. The vault contained far less radiation than normally expected of a dilapidated vault. What's more, the plants were growing around the vault. They seemed unaffected by radiation from the surrounding countryside. After a close study, the fungi was observed performing radiosynthesis, metabolizing the ionized radiation, effectively eating it, even shielding the rest of the vault. It will take our biologists some time to transfer this ability to a safer, non-mutating form of fungus, but this breakthrough could help clean up the wasteland, cleaning up various radiation pockets that dot the wasteland, even eradicating rad storms that still plague the landscape. What's more, that ghoul scientist, aside from being a bit rough around the edges at first, has gotten well with our team and has shared some of her insights with the plants at Vault 22. She even tested and found and perfected a food additive that acts as a mild stimulant in humans and is completely harmless. It seems we were able to scavenge the food problem with the vault as well. That's a nice development. 20% infrastructure construction speed. It'd be great if we were doing infrastructure. Which we are not. Alright, we've got 2 new railway boys. Let's go ahead and get these assigned and shipped up, because they should be able to make their way up there. We've got at least some network of roads that they can trudge up. But it will take them a fat minute, absolutely. I mean, he's going fast. He'll get there in due time. Let's see. Go ahead and get these guys. Perfect. I think that's it we really need to consider. Perfect. Fire all available power grids. Great. We could repair the next turbine. Again, we're not hurting on power. I'm more hurting on construction. Just trying to get all this done. Even with those amount of factories, like, we're still ludicrously underpowered in terms of that regard. So we want to kind of push that as best we can. I love to get off partial mode and go to war economy, but we don't have the war support, and it's not happening. So, womp womp. Now, before I forget, let's go ahead and do another event here. And the game auto-saves. There we go. We're going to go ahead and do the right man in the wrong place. There we go. The third front has officially opened with us breaching the resort itself. We expected we're ghost people. Instead, we've run afoul of the casino's highly advanced security system. Holographic projectors that seem immune to all types of weapon fire. Our team is currently pinned down in the lobby of sorts as our technicians trying to find a way to disrupt the casino's security system. Outside the villa, our troops managed to push into the remaining villas and our... Outside the villa, oh my god. Turbine energy political power? Oh, you're not wrong, but it uses consumer goods. It uses 4% consumer goods, and I really, really, really want to get all this construction done. Already the engineers, construction crews are rummaging through the cleared areas, began restoring the process of the resort. We've managed to clean the place up and running in a month. All good. Cat, catch you later. You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, the fucking... The Sierra Madre is just a shit show. You did what now? You declared on us? You declared on us. Are you out of your fucking mind?
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
You are off your shit if you think you will win.
Enclave here.
Barney, get your fucking ass here. I swear to God, if I have to redo this entire front line because this fucking dipshit started a war, I'm not even gonna fucking bother with it. I'm gonna summon the boys. Hit the call all button. Go deal with the problem. America's busy right now. I'm waiting for these guys to get involved because I guarantee you they will. GAC project complete. Horses. Although there were about 8 million horses in pre-war America, they all died out due to the Great War, nuclear winter, and hungry survivors. Now the EPA wants to use genetic material to revive horses and other large mammals rather than engineering death claws with laser guns. Great, now give them laser guns. Wipe the slate clean. Skies over the Sierra Madre are darkened by the cloud were pierced by the droning of vertibird blades and the cry of bomber engines. Within minutes, the Sierra was lit up with a light show the not had seen since the opening gala event. As the bombs rained down over the villa and the casino, the caverns underneath collapsed. The old machinery keeping the place lit erupted. The insidious cloud was snuffed out at its core. The last to fall was Casino Resort, targeted by precision strikes of the vertibirds. As it collapsed, the radio signal sent out the sounds forever. Yep, there it goes. Fuck the Sierra Madre. It is not worth dealing with. Just send it to the bottom of the fucking earth. Goodbye. Alright, we've done that. Let's go ahead and do lighting up the night. We should be able to... Where is she? Open up the nursery. Be able to talk to the lovely Lady Deanna. Fire off some more grids, which is great. The Spectre of the Sierra... Oh, fuck it. You go away. The Spectre of the Sierra Madre, a paladin from the Mojave chapter, arrived, took one look at the sigil, and immediately mentioned that it was the Circle of Steel. Roughly the internal affairs of the Brotherhood. Regardless, she requested put on a call to Lost Hills, which we obliged. Within a few hours, a vertibird arrived carrying an elder, 2 paladins, and a scribe named Veronica. Shout out to Veronica. Best girl in New Vegas. I will die on that hill. Announcing a code word, they enter the house with no incident as our troops outside watched on. Within a few minutes, a bewildered woman with scars on her head exited the Brotherhood party. The Brotherhood said they will take care of her, which is allowed under our agreement. It was pointed out that she opened fire on our troops. The elder pointed out that she was missing for years and wasn't aware of the recent treaty or the reformation of the Enclave. We will overlook this site, yeah. At least something came of it. Yeah, I'm waiting for the Republic of the Rio Grande to try some shit. Because I absolutely think they will. We do not have a war goal against them, but we could. Spurs that jingle, jingle. Callahan was keen to keep Enclave intelligence in a closed loop. He was meticulous about anyone and everyone under his eye, so when the Enclave spy master dropped a proposal on Grant's desk for an outside contractor, Grant was very confused. I mean, they got shot in the head, tore through the Mojave, and had several active bounties placed on their head by both the NCR and the Legion. Furthermore, they're considered one of the most dangerous people to walk the waste. Yes, Gannon actually recommended them to me. Says that you're a miracle worker and can make the impossible happen. So they're talking about the Courier, if you don't know. Courier 6 becomes an operative, so we actually get Courier 6 as an operative choice we're able to recruit from. War infantry kit, boom. M2000 assault rifles, alright. Deal with this fucking hullabaloo. During Lanius' conquest of New Mexico, his cohort came into conflict with the Lambda tribe, the remains of the old Lambda research facility from the pre-war days. Well, excuse me. Expecting an easy victory, the cohort was instead beset by an enigmatic figure known as the Freeman, who killed anyone that even tried to stop him, waging a one-man war against the cohort and the Greater Legion. So much so that the image of a crowbar struck fear into many legionaries and is seen as a bad omen among their troops. It is said that even Lanius himself feared the Freeman. Although that one might be more of a legend than fact, these stories persisted along the Legion slaves we came across until we arrived in New Mexico, and the Freeman began assisting us in combat. His exploits seemed impossible, even though in our reports, now that the Legion's defeating and he's wanted to join up the army. Absolutely! Get Freeman in here! Racing the monster of the East. New Mexico bears the scars of Lanius and the Legion. Population wiped out, entire towns depopulated. In their place are the Latin names the Legion only knew what a parody of what they were actually were. If we're going to erase the Legion, especially Lanius, we're going to start right here in New Mexico. There's no better place than Camp Red Sun. Red Sun City itself managed to pay off Lanius for tribute and slave caravans, if nothing more than for survival. Better to sell a few heads than wind up dead, as they say. However, the eastern half of the city was given over to the Legion as payment, and it shows. We tore through the region. Many who served under Lanius defended the city if it was some holy site, and now engineer and construction teams are going to tear it all down. Of course, there remains the situation in the city's name. How am I to know how to take an Africa? For fuck's sake. Oh, the fucking shitposts in this game are great. Alright. We don't have access to these, which is fine. Let's see. Is there anything else we could do? Working on those. We'll do this as Austin and the Atlas Remnants. And then we're doing all these, so we're going to be integrating a whole bunch of our factions here soon. Yeah, I don't know what the plan is here, like if they're just trying to sit here and line up troops, but you decked on me, dumbass, so... Sorry, I've already crossed the river, it's kind of Jover for you. Okay. The nursery is a pre-war facility buried in a remote valley led by the pre-war AI who called herself Deanna. Although the EPA thinks she could use the facility to terraform the wasteland into a paradise, Deanna refuses to aid us and now claims we'll squander her gifts. If we can get her cooperation, we could rebuild American biospheres and restore bald eagles, buffaloes, and woolly mammoths. Yeah, clearly. Is every pre-war AI insane? Shut off the power or hack her system. She will serve us no matter what. There you go. Okay, keeping up with the times. Vault-24 wasn't intended as an experimental vault in Project Safe House. However, the residents of the vault seem to have developed a strange fascination with time. So much so their impressive technical abilities seem almost secondary to the strangeness. When questioned by our troopers or representatives, they only answered in cryptic sentences, and when questioned further, they said that they would only come to understand it in time. Suffice to say, the officer in charge was ready to annihilate the entire vault, but decided against it. Curiously, we decided to check the data logs, and our emissaries to the vault appear to have spent far longer inside the vault than outside. Our techs say the issue might be with our systems, internal chronometers, but it says we're willing to let Vault-24 become another version of Vault City in the Wasteland. Who's this doctor they speak of? It's a Doctor Who reference if you don't get it. But yeah, we still got some fun stuff to do. The power of Yellowstone. Oh, I knew it was to happen, and I should have fucking lined up units on the border, but I'm a fucking idiot. All right, cool. That's great.
Everything's always tighter out here.
That's great, that's great, that's great, that's great. Alright, I'm just gonna pull these troops off. That's fucking great. Alright, cool.
And the fucking president's watching us like a hawk.
I knew this would happen. I'm a fucking idiot.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Yes, I know everything's tighter out here in Enclave. Alright.
Was the night before
We're absolutely going to lose some land here, which is fine.
President's watching us like a hawk.
I'm just more annoyed that this happened than anything else. Yeah, get him on the TAA front for sure. Retake Tialk's grave, all that fun jazz. Same with you. You're going to go on the major front here. We'll be able to retake our vassalage as well. So just set everybody to attack. I don't even care what orders you guys are running. Just do it. Get it done. So we're definitely going to lose some land. We're going to get some encirclements, which isn't going to be great. But shit happens. Also do the Power of the Yellowstone, because this is one of my favorite references in the game. How do you do the Grand Canyon decision? It is a long fucking event for the Grand Canyon, but it is very much worth it. The best thing you could do with the Grand Canyon, if you're going like full mutant run, which is what I recommend, as long as you have the burrows done, so you get the talking raccoons, you can send them in to negotiate with the critters in the Grand Canyon, and it requires a lot. It requires a lot to do the Grand Canyon, because you need to own both and have a bunch of caravan equipment. But you have to do a very, very specific series of events, and you can actually like fully rebuild the Grand Canyon with the entities in the canyon. Perfect. All right. Come on, boys. Get to the front lines. Take all of our land back. Recognizing Austin. In Austin, it almost looks like the bombs never fell, a vital member of the Texas Economic Union, and the wealth gained has restored much of the city. Its central location in the state and its situation on the West Brazos means that the money and trade flowed through the city, was able to afford a well-supplied guard, and of course the guard force is the only way you can tell the bombs fell. The place at the center of power is the super mutants Keat and the Unity of Austin. We don't know who has experience with the West Coast. Yeah, well, it's Austin. I don't like super mutants. Yeah, basically, Austin's weird. We want to do this because we integrated America. So originally set forth with the goal of the Master to revive the Master's goals, the death of Atlas at the hands of the Texas Brotherhood, fractured the super mutants into under three of Atlas's former lieutenants. Austin Keats tried to revise the best ideals of the Master as true unity, while Shell clung onto the remnants of the past. Juggernaut's a rabid dog, and of course, many will be put down. Some of Texas speak of many who are good people and just want to live peacefully. Yeah, absolutely. They can live peacefully. We like mutants. This is the American way. How big is Rio's army? A joke compared to ours. Yeah, okay. And I don't even have a full, like, detachment prep for him either. Oh boy. The fleet reaches Anchorage. The expedition has reached Anchorage and is reporting high temperatures in the high negatives. Yes, you're reading that right, the high negatives. The ambient temperature around is minus 50 degrees, and sailors having to fight to keep the ice from sinking their ships due to the turbulent waters around the city. We anticipated this, however, and winterized most of the vertibirds brought along, but it seems to be constantly running in order to not shut down. A large contingent of the fleet was launched at Joint Base Ellendorf-Richardson, JBER, and is expected to begin preliminary searches of Anchorage tomorrow. Overflights of the city are painting a pretty picture. Much like Juneau, the city is frozen in time. Aside from the destruction brought by the Great War, it seems that the PRC had hopes of reclaiming the state, as they were reporting fewer craters than they'd seen at Juneau. The remains of the large military contingent that was stationed, however, remain as military convoys, and pro-U.S. decorations line the city. However, the streets remain silent, and still not even fires are reported. As a chilling example of what became of the city, the 914mm guns of Anchorage had been destroyed by the elements, falling down the cliffs and shattering like glass. Suffice it to say that a lot of the expedition is feeling uneasy about this. Yep. Alright, so we'll have to deal with this whole fucking mess, which is kind of annoying, but fine. So we'll have to eat Mexico and deal with the fact that we can now regroup here and retake our former vassal's territory and deal with the rogue AI, whose army is slightly more scary because he's mostly robots. But if I recall correctly, we did give our men anti-tank rifles. We did. Arguably, I could give him something else, but at this point, it's not really a concern. I think at this point, we're just going to have to sit here and battle it out with them. But this is definitely a fight we will win. We simply have the numbers, and they do not. Right now, these divisions are just getting hurt because they're provided with low organization, and the rest of them are retaking the city as we speak. So the Free Fighters contingent's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, but with our allies pushing through as well here with the Free Forces, I think we'll be all right. We did manage to call everybody in, if I recall. Let's make sure we're not smoking. Genta the Soul is my guy, right? Yeah, you're mine. Get the fuck in here. Stop being a nuisance. Yeah, you got troops defending some of your shit, and you'll be alright. I'm just more interested in getting the supply lines going. But, yep, we're just gonna have to punch through and fight Mexico. They started this war. We're gonna have to end it. The Hephaestus Project. Before the Great War, Poseidon Energy began to tap into the magma beneath the Yellowstone caldera to build the largest geothermal power plant. The ecologists refused to finish their great work, but now we're in charge now. If activated, Hephaestus could power the region as a sort of Hoover Dam for the north. Unlike Poseidon, we weren't interested in any corporate greed, nor were we willing to cut corners anymore. We have the best minds, the enclaves, the followers, and the NCR at our disposal. The project can be easily completed without disturbing Yellowstone's natural beauty, which incidentally took a massive hit from the Great War. So if you don't know what this is a reference to Wasteland 3 and its DLC, which if you have not played, I would recommend. Wasteland 3 is a great game. But from my understanding, it's basically like a perpetual sun, and it's literally been buried underneath Yellowstone. The captured Palatini comes home. It was on purpose to fly in the captured members of the Aquila Palatini in the Sierra Army Depot during daylight hours psychological warfare, just to show them how big a mistake they made. When they had fled the depot following Granite's reformation all those years ago, the base was dilapidated, rundown, and much of it still derelict. Now it was modern-day fortress as buildings constructed post-war, restored hangars, and even the town of Erlong had grown threefold, which we haven't done this yet. Most of them had spent the last few weeks being treated in a military hospital under constant guard, ensuring they were fit and healthy to be tried for their crimes. Stepping into the landing pad on our escort, they were met by several soldiers in power armor. None of them were too happy to see them, although under strict orders to ensure no harm came to them. The order was enforced by none other than Sergeant Major Dornan, who stood at the front of the soldiers with the most disgusted look on his face of any of them had ever seen. He'd saved them, led them back to better lives twice. They repaid him by trying to stab him in the back. None dared to look at him in the eye. Just wait till we take him to Navarro. Okay. Tale of two Mexicos. There's a common misconception about Mexico here in the States that all of Mexico is a lawless wasteland of vagabonds, raiders, and banditos. Consequently, most of that comes from California's view of the Baja, and since the bulk of our population is made up of Californians, it is what we're stuck with. In truth, even the Baja state itself was set up as nothing more than pressure relief due to the refugees flooding in from the south following Caesar's reign, and the AI is going haywire. However, the people of Mexico have been proven nothing but resilient, and what started as a dumping ground has become a legitimate government and vital partner to us. You say that, but they declared on us. However, they are not only reigning in government in Mexico, but we don't mean the Aztecs and the Mayas to the south. The Republic of Rio Grande has cemented itself as a powerful ally. So, I mean, I'd rather just fucking eat them. Unless I can piece them out. We'll see. We'll see if we can piece them out. Showing a blackberry lemonade, sparkle water tastes so good. Yeah, we'll see if we can piece them out from this war, but I would be surprised if we could. As it sits, I think we basically have to hard commit to we have to fight them all. So I doubt we'll probably even get the event to fire, so we'll see. Also, I just got a whole bunch of political power. I didn't realize. Whoops, we need to be spending that. To Dramonte. Yeah, go ahead and send them to it. To cost a little bit of money. Let's see. Still got to do Omaha and another remnant, but Yellow Rose of Texas, Remembering the Alamo, and Mr. Entertainment, and then we can do Incorporating Bismarck. So use of our last political power as we curb stomp in through the TAA. The rest of our forces are doing pretty nicely. Like, realistically, this war is... the vertebrates carrying the delegation of the United States Department in the Mexican Reclamation Zone, Secretariat of Foreign Affairs, landed in Gloria as the escorting RRJ fighters waved off. The city still carried the signs of the TAA terrorist attack, and much of the city was still under military control. We'd also heard the rumors of encroaching Gringos and their puppet in Baja. The flight over was marked by an intense near incident as the RRG fighters arrived to escort the vertebrates. There were fears the delegation would be shot down. Thankfully, that didn't happen. After meeting with several key RRG officials, it is time to get down to what this real meeting was about: unifying the two nations into a single country and uniting Mexico once more. Plenty within the RRG wish to see it restored Mexico, but they have no intention of being placed on the American thumb. They weren't exactly negotiating from a position of strength. The Mexican reclamation zone, Fuerzas Armadas, had been trained by the United States Army and equipped with the hardy and rugged weapons of the old NCR, and the RRG Army was so large, but their equipment and material paled in comparison, and they knew their Air Force was no match for the mighty States of the United States Air Force. So, wait, nukes? What? Oh boy. At its core, the fate of the future of Mexico was at hand. The RRG representative found themselves offended by the idea that the gringos were meddling in their affairs once more. This, of course, led to the Mexican Reclamation Zone delegates becoming more incensed and lash out. Thankfully, after a small siesta, things calmed down. It was reiterated to everyone we only want the best for Mexico's future. That got the ball rolling as the Mexican Reclamation Zone representatives pointed out the assistance and aid America had given Mexico since the formation of the Mexican Reclamation Zone. They pointed out the Americans weren't perfect. They were causing a lot of problems Mexico has faced, but they're trying to make amends right now. Baja and Rio have a chance to truly restore Mexico, not only in a way that once was, but turn into something greater. Divided, the more Mexican blood will be shed. As united, they wouldn't just survive, but thrive. The Mexican Reclamation Zone brought up the fact that since leader of the two nations would be the president of Mexico, that means they would get access to the nukes, and Armageddon Station of Mexico would be a nuclear power on par with the United States. With that, it was settled. Wait, what? Nukes? Oh! A united Mexico is a true Mexico, an historic move that perhaps reshaped the political landscape of the post-apocalyptic Southwest. The nation of the Mexican Reclamation Zone has officially united with the Republic of the Rio Grande. This union, hailed as triumph of the Mexican unity and resilience, represents a bold new chapter for the people of both territories, who have long endured the hardships of the wasteland. Critics, however, while acknowledging that the unification was born from the hearts and minds of Mexicans for Mexicans, have noted that much of the political power behind the move comes from nowhere else but the United States. Rumors that the American government is believed to have secured strategic partnerships and resources, ensuring their continued influence in the region. While many may view this alliance with suspicion, many within the Mexican Reclamation Zone, the Republic of the Rio Grande, see it as a necessary step towards survival and growth in the harsh, unforgiving world, steps towards the future of all Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Okay, so this just fucking is gonna kill them instantly, which is great. Might crash the game. Nope. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. So they are my puppet. Yep. Or my puppet. So who's left in this war? Who am I fighting? The remnants of Teal'c, the Free Fighters, and the TAA. Okay. That's fine.
Outstanding.
Not bad. Let me put it that way. Not bad, not great. Oh, God. This whole fucking zone is cooked. Okay. I basically need to reorganize all these units to deal with all this crap now. Because now we share multiple fronts with multiple nations.
Enclave here.
Does Canada exist? Oh, yeah, Canada exists. It's right up there. Dominion of Canada. We haven't swung north to wipe them all out yet. And restore Canada back to its rightful glory. So let's go ahead and get all of our units in position for this shit as well. You guys are all doing that crap. God, you were the only unit up here, which is fucking insane. You are going where? No. No. Barney, I need you...
Everything's always tighter out here.
I need you on the border with the AI, because this AI is going to try to fucking kill us. So, let's get this all cleaned up prim proper, yeah? The weather grows worse. The expedition has sent a few well-armed patrols into the city and encountered more of the frostbitten black ghouls that haunt the remains of Anchorage. No casualties reported, but mostly thanks to air support and heavy ordnance. Signals intelligence aboard the ships are monitoring the airwaves for radio traffic about the presence of the fleet, but Nothing returned but dead air. Not even pre-war records over the radios are being heard. The entire atmosphere of the city seems dead and frozen, if not hostile, as if Mother Nature herself knows this is where it began and doesn't want us to go there. At least that was what the report said, since the expedition commander is reporting that the weather is growing worse. Temperatures at night are dropping to 100 degrees. Ugh. The ships are starting to suffer the effects of the cold. He plans to enter the vault as well as send a short-range recon flight north over the mountains around Anchorage before beginning the return trip home. The last entry of his report is there was nothing up here. Anybody trying to establish an outpost or anything in this region is an idiot or a fool with a death wish. Even if there were resources, the cost to keep those to extract them alive would be far greater than anything we can get out of the state. You know. What's going on in Alaska? Basically, Alaska is a nuclear hellscape. It's a frozen wasteland. We sent an expedition fleet up there, and it's there's nothing. Cities are dead. There's nobody left. Ooh, heavy las. Let's go ahead and do. Let's get refined focus beams. Yeah, the TAA is just gone. We take these guys. I believe we should be good. The free fighters we do need to knock out as well. But they just don't have the manpower to sustain a consecutive border like this also. So we're just having to deal with this. So nothing changed for Alaska. More or less. Okay, TAA is dead. Beautiful. Ugh, I gotta give Mexico something. Shit. Nope, fuck off, Mexico. It's mine now. You can have the Navy. Alright, that's that dealt with. We need to go deal with the AI that is growing rapidly right now. Let's go deal with that, please. Thank you.
Who the hell is this? The president?
Please do the AI.
This is Enclave main comm. Enclave here.
Alright, bunch of little military bases are coming online. Stars and Stripes forever. Beautiful. Baron dead. Oh, the Coffee Baron? I mean, Costa Caffiende's still alive, so... No, Baron Garcia's still alive. The men and women who missed the end of the world stumbled out of their suspended animation pods, looking at the oddity of oddly short men and the women who handed them blankets and soup. Almost tasted nothing like chicken. Don't worry, said one of the nurses. It's been a while, but on behalf of the Enclave, let me reassure you that the Star-Spangled Banner yet waves over the land of the free and the home of the brave. So we ended up getting a bunch of free units that we managed to recruit from Alaska. Which, I mean, they're just a standard hybrid template, so they have some power armor platoons and some equipment here. Realistically, they're going into the front. They're going into the front. So we're going to have to just keep slogging away at this crap, let the AI kind of deal with it. But so far so good, at least in that regard. The TAA, let's go ahead and do that. We got a few days before a couple of other events will pop. Let's go ahead and do that. Power all the grids, construct all the grids, and we're still building more. First fire, beautiful. Let's go ahead. Oh, that's it for that line. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get the booster going now. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Twice in 400 years. Surveyors are still sifting through the wreckage of what could be millions of robots piled up outside the Alamo chapter's former fortress. What happened here is a tragedy on a immeasurable scale, and what many want to see as a memorial erected to the brave defenders of the Brotherhood who gave their lives against the Mexican. Remember the Alamo. The Waste's greatest entertainer. Kill Station was an attempt by the Federal Communications Commission to ignite hatred against communism and buy more American products by subliminal means. Sadly, it was never deployed en masse thanks to the Great War cutting plans short. Enter Mr. Entertainment, an enigmatic fellow who found the old equipment and has been slowly spreading his influence across the wasteland. Now we confronted him about it. He claimed he was only doing it for the betterment of the people, pointing to the lower level of violence in the areas where his TVs were set up. He's graciously given over his studio equipment team and his own charms to assist us in creating America. Take out the mind control, keep the rest. We can use it to reprogram Raiders and Legion. That's actually not a bad idea. And then it's off to Lone Star. More than a few scholars would consider Lone Star to be the hub of Texas, along with its prosperous I-10 and I-20 trade routes. Lone Star was bound to become a hotspot within Texas due to the center of commerce. However, law and order managed to prevail for the most part over the various merchants and gangs in the area. Lone Star was no stranger to combat. Cho Bang and lawmen managed to keep the gangs and even the supervillains at bay while still retaining power within the old Texas economic union. They even went toe-to-toe with Santa Ana at one point just prior to our arrival. Today, as America returns east, city happened to be on something of an economic boom and renaissance as settlers and merchants move forward through the city to greener wastes, along with the large military contingent setting up at Dye's Air Force Base in Fort Hood. Hard Texas beat strong. Bringing back the Bismarck. Oh boy. All right, let me see what other things we've got here for base. I think it's development. No, what is it? It's one of these does all the base stuff. Installation management. There we go. Get those all going. So far, so good. Nothing else here I need to click or worry about. Yep, okay, we're doing good. Bringing back Bismarck. Of all the former state capitals we've encountered so far, none have been in as good as a state as Bismarck. Not only did the city avoid the worst of the bombs with the remnants, the state government managed to survive in the harsh winters of the north and establish itself as a vital trading hub in the region, in power in the region, surviving all the way until our arrival practically. Of course, it isn't safe to say the city exerts control over all of North Dakota, but the once vaulted North Dakota National Guard degraded into a militia wearing their equipment by now. This doesn't say, however, Bismarck lost its status as a powerhouse in the region. It just had to adapt at the times. Key to this location was on the Missouri River and the power of the River League, of which Bismarck was part, as well as the fact the town was home to a pre-war band of German refugees that created the first working Gauss rifle on American soil. It's not only allowed a steady income that fueled the city's economy, trade, and river caravans that could afford guards from Bismarck knew well that they had the best money could buy in the region. It only makes sense that we restore the city's title to the capital of North Dakota once more and use the influence of the river and the trade caravan to reassert control of it even once more. Oh, perfect. Hydrate, I shall. Yeah, we're just going to have to keep pushing on forward. Keep pushing on forward. It wasn't a civil court where captured members of the Aquila Palatini were tried. It was a military tribunal that's to harken back to the days of the Rig and the old Enclave. The older members that had arrived to the depot looked on their former compatriots with disgust. They were almost unrecognizable, having baked in the hot Arizona sun all this time and the stress of living under the Legion. To those members of the Palatini, it was almost surreal to see what had become of the nation they had since they fled all those years before. They sat in shock at the sight before them, seeing everything that had been rebuilt, realizing the horror that they would never be a part of it. Not all of them were military, but it didn't matter. The military judges barely gave any time to deliberate after the Enclave intelligence laid out the list of crimes they committed, how in their actions strengthened the Legion, and got so many Americans killed in combat. All they could give in defense was a pitiful "I'm sorry." They were all sentenced to death. There was no pity or remorse for those who betrayed everything they believed in just because they didn't follow Grant's ideals, of course. There were those who fled to Chicago, the last of the Palatini, the last of the survivor of the Sierra Enclave traitors. We'll get the rest. End of the guerrillas. Done. Families of Vegas. Ooh. New Vegas is one of the richest cities in the West, but under its influence of some of the powerful families, with our economic growth, they've decided to begun to spread their influence beyond Vegas when you decide how to help them. The families faced with the threat of the law will go legit. Absolutely. The prosecution of Will Faster. Will Faster was once the leader of two sons, sat chained to a desk in Hurlong Correctional Institution under military guard. His crimes have been read to him: acts of terrorism, acts of war, acts of sedition towards the government of the United States, aiding and abetting an enemy of the United States, leading an illegal rebellion against the government of the United States. Tried explaining he had no choice, that the Legion caught wind of treachery, that they would be crucified along with his people. Everything he did for the protection of his people. His plea fell on deaf ears as the charges were laid plain and bare. He made one last plea to the president, writing an open letter that he had done everything he had done for his people, and that while he may have committed those crimes, it was to save the city of Tucson, and the people within the city from being sent to death from the Legion used as sex slaves for the Legion. Tell that to the judge. A trial will conclude in 30 days. Yeah, we've got a legal system for a reason. Better fucking use it. Do we have anything else we want to crack off right now? No, I don't think we own enough at the moment. We still have to clean up all this shit too, and Houston Rockets and a whole bunch of others. Nobody else can join us, which is a shame. I just wait to buy the rest of my purchasing items or wait till he fixes them. That is entirely up to you, man. Whatever you think the most is the best for it. All right. What was the RRG's problem has now become our problem. The Texas Arms Association was one of the largest third-party weapons manufacturers in the pre-war area. They managed to survive the Great War simply by having more guns than anyone else. Of course, having all those guns meant they sold guns to everybody else in the post-war line with the RRG as their largest buyer of weapons. While many within the TAA still wish to sell weapons, we have zero intention of allowing them the same kind of freedom that the RRG was forced to accept simply because we have more guns than them. Of course, that leaves the residents of the estate, which is its own city at this point. They can have the factory, but that's it. Yep. Let's keep it civil. Let's keep it civil. You finish the DoD tree? Not even fucking close. Not even close. Here's the thing. Once you unlock the DoD tree, it specifically tells you do not focus exclusively on the DoD tree, because it will kill you. You need to work on other things. I've done a few of them, but yeah, you do need to work on other things. Don't let it hamper you down. Pushing on all fronts, which is fantastic. If we can wipe out the freedom fighters and kind of reinforce whatever the fuck's going on here. It's just an endless wall of ice and snow. The expedition commander has compiled his final report, and with it the results of the final recon flight north of Anchorage. For the bulk of the flight, it was everywhere else in the state, cold, lifeless, dead. Many of the roadside inns had been long abandoned. The highways were littered with military convoys and vehicles trying to escape the city. The remains of the Chinese army, their destroyed equipment still lying where it was destroyed, as well as a few long-dead U.S. Army outposts. Just before the vertebrate was forced to turn back because of the winter, however, they caught signs of life their first time in the expedition. A group of hunters, it seems, dressed in furs, armed with spears and other crude weapons our pilots could even get a good look at. It seems that humans are indeed still surviving in the Alaskan wilderness, despite what Alaska is throwing at them. However, they appear to be, at least from a distance of the vertebrate away, to have regressed to a hunter-gatherer state, which one could expect the cold of Alaska, where growing crops is impossible. The only way to survive is to hunt enough to survive the winter. They watched the vertebrates for some time. One even seemed to wave at them, but by that point, however, the weather was so bad, was growing so bad, the vertebrate had to turn back. Perhaps when the climate stabilizes, we can venture north again. For now, however, it's best to leave Alaska as it is and focus on the lower 48. Yeah. Alaska is a dead end. We will not be able to do anything with the former oil baron state, I'm afraid. For now, we will continue our conquest of Mexico and maintain our supremacy in the region here. Where eagles fly. After several successful weeks of work, and not only have we've not only recreated the bald eagle, but we've made it even better. We made the largest bird of prey in the pre-war era, gave it the ability to live anywhere across the United States, and it sets its prey to be such species as cazadors and stingwings. Also set them not to see humans as prey, since they can easily pick up a small child, but that's besides the point. Today, several hunter were released in the first of many waves set to repopulate the United States, or repopulate America's birds across the continent. Journalists and reporters were in awe as they soared into the sky, symbolizing the very freedom of the reunited States itself. I'm not crying, it's just dust in my eye. God bless America. We brought back the eagle. God bless America. That's old. Still need to deal with a few other things, but I think we're okay for the time being. So far, so good. So far, so good. Nuclear Defense Operations Command. Pre-war, what has become known as the Divide was home to the Ballistics Defense Division's Southwest Operations Command Center of the Commonwealth Ballistics Administration. A mouthful if there ever was one. Suffice to say, we weren't expected to be nuked anytime soon, unless it's ourselves. Instead, the base had locations of several of our nuclear silos dotted across the United States, several of which were automated to build more nuclear missiles. Of course, why not? I cannot stress the danger of these weapons falling in enemy hands. While we can answer the nuclear question later, we need to make it a priority to collect and recover nuclear weapons across the continent before it is too late. But to do that, we need a base of operations, and the base is the old da-da-da-da in Hopeville. Since we've returned to the base, we've been hard at work getting it ready to resume operations once more. However, resources are starting to run short for the time being due to other construction projects, and for now, we'll have the resources to complete one project. Let's get Hopeville online. Hopeville Missile Base. Hopeville Missile Base was the Army component of the Commonwealth Ballistic Missile Complex and was tasked in maintaining the missiles and ensuring our base remained in a ready state in the tectonically unstable region of the Divide. Much of the base has been looted or scrapped, largely from the two communities that sprung up around the base in the intervening years. Thankfully, they didn't activate the nuclear warheads in the base because that might have caused some problems. We know exactly what our predecessors were thinking when they built an Army base near the San Andreas Fault. However, records have shown the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers installed a series of seismic sensors around the base. If they tripped, the base would lock down to ensure that no missile was damaged. Apparently, this backfired as the sensors couldn't differentiate between the nukes hitting California and Nevada, an earthquake, and thus the base went into lockdown and never launched their deadly payload. We're sure China was very thankful. Regardless, the nuclear bombs had ironically enough stabilized the region, though that doesn't mean we won't be resorting to seismic monitors just in case. Curiously, we've noticed that there seems to be some residual seismic activity coming from below. It might just be old systems. We'll keep you informed. It is, in fact, not old systems. If you know, you know. All right, let's continue the manufacturing of this. So we're going to try to get all of this up and running. We can't do that. We can at least get these guys up and running in terms of doctrine, so that's good. Hey, Turbo, my man. Thank you for the sub. Ooh, we can actually do NORAD. Ooh. North American Aerospace Defense. Pre-war was the center for early warning against nuclear strikes. Today it was repurposed for the common defense of the American continent against all threats, both land, air, and sea. Now, let's get Cheyenne Mountain up and running. Maybe we'll find the Stargate.
Excuse me, Gordon. Rescued at last.
Hey, thank you for the follow, my man. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Yeah, we're just going to have to keep pushing through and crushing them. Cheyenne Mountain Complex, NORAD. A return to Colorado is another stepping stone in reclamation of America. However, the mountains outside the Colorado Springs lay the cornerstone of our national defense network. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD. It was here that the Air Force watched vigilantly against any who would-be Chinese attack or coordinated. Accordingly, it was also here that we laid the plans for the reclamation of America with a calculator, and now that we've returned, one of the few things you notice is the fact that the door of the facility had been blown off, and there are remnants of battle between strange robots and the Brotherhood of Steel. We don't know exactly what happened. We want to get the base up and running. And we get a new set of decisions. So this costs a shitload of political power, so we're going to have to start doing that incrementally, but that's fine. I do want to get Erlong up and running, which wouldn't be too bad. We also got to do Navarro. I think so far we're good in this regard, because we got all this unlocked, which is great. Still need to do Area 51 and getting the big mountain up and running. Like, so much stuff we've got to do. God, just so much stuff. So, why don't we... Let's get Erlong done, because it's been on the backlog for a minute. Let's get Erlong up and running. We're nearly done killing the free fighters, which will be good. I think that's them dead now. Perfect. And you're gonna try to fight me on shit. Shut up, Mexico. It's mine. Mexico, I said it's mine. Mexico, it's mine. Take your lumps. There we go. Because it's just kind of OP. Yeah, I don't like to use the spies because it kind of makes the game trivialized. I'll use it a little bit, but I don't. It's not like one of my primary focuses. Alright, well, you just gotta keep pushing out this way.
Enclave here.
You're free, which means I can put you on that line there. Yeah, we just basically need to, like, blow our way through all these guys. Or through, well, not all these guys, just one guy. It's just this army. So, Rogue Robit, how are we looking on other things? Looking good. Definitely want to do police force, fire all that's ready, construct all we can. God, we got so much you still gotta construct. So much. Arguably, let's put another, like, 10 on repair. I don't think we have a lot to repair, a lot of more sporadic stuff, but I think we're okay. Yeah. Actually, can I do full mobilization? No. I don't have 50% more. Damn it. Oh well. Will Faster sentenced to life in prison. Will Faster, the leader of the Tucson cult of Naz, has been sentenced to life in prison today for a litany of crimes against the United States and its people. Will Faster gave an impassioned defense that he had no choice as he had to protect his people from the danger of the Legion, giving evidence to destroy cultures across Arizona and New Mexico as a result of those who tried to resist the Legion. The turning point came when the prosecution stated the fact that Will made no attempt to contact the United States government or military officials, and that even the last hours of fighting, Will Faster was directing Tucson's troops in a desperate attempt to cut off the American military forces in the city. The final nail in the coffin was when the prosecution asked why he did not surrender and instead fight a losing battle. The court reporters say Will had no answer and his defense fell apart. At least he didn't kill him. That's true, we did not kill him. We could have absolutely summarily executed him. We absolutely could have. Let's go ahead and repair NORAD's front door. But we did not. We gave him a chance. Where you just basically have to keep punching through, because the AI is rough. He just has numbers and numbers and numbers. Luckily, we can pierce his numbers. It's just, fuck me. Always fighting the AI of Mexico is just rough. They're just so unbelievably tough. Sierra Army Depot was built as a massive storage depot for the military equipment before being shuttered due to manpower constraints in the Great War. The problem is it's starting to become a bit difficult to get operations going and expand the base when there are families living alongside soldiers as well. Not everybody was keen on moving into New Reno and wanting to stay with their family, not wanting to live in the city, or just being secure from the walls of the old army base. However, this place is not meant for families, so we couldn't conduct operations as if we have children running through the halls and spouses beating on briefings because the toilet seat was left clogged. The answer, of course, lies right outside the base with the ruins of Erlong. The tent was built to support the base just for this reason. It's seen better days, but the engineers are ready to set up a special committee to decide who gets what where in the town. We can rebuild him. We can do it better. I don't think it's a decisions thing. I think it's literally just it happens. Yeah, it's just a decisions. It's not a decisions thing. It just happens. So we can at least get that up and running. Get Arlong done. Arlong's Farms in 30 days, and then the future of America. We'll get that all good. We don't have the Farson, we don't have the South Pass Mine, so we can't do any of that just yet. This is irrelevant. We could do Enclave Propaganda if we really wanted to, so I think we're fine. We still have to do like the Arsenal of Democracy and all that shit too. So still a lot to do, but we are pushing in on the AI. He's rough. Let me put it that way. He's very, very tough. Oh no, he decrypted our ciphers. I didn't even bother doing any of that, so here, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna get rid of any kind of entrenchment or bonuses he has. Why not? There we go. The Herlong Police Station. With the expansion of the depot, the military police detachment of the base has to focus more and more on the base itself. As such, we've restored some of the old office buildings and set up a small police station to handle the town. Aside, keeping the peace, they'll be handling the occasional giant insect attack and patrolling in case a wayward deathclaw is stalking through the night. With the incentive of a bonus, we've reached out to the new Reno police to assist us in this endeavor. Hopefully we'll buff out. Just keep pushing up our base stability, which is just great. Looks like the Bayou's doing some naval invasion shenanigans, which, you know what, I'm not opposed to, but I don't want to take your expeditionary forces, because that's just dumb. I'd rather AI handle it themselves. We can continue to just crush in. I believe most of his core lands is like down here, like Mexico City, but we did take Teal'c's Lair, which is fantastic. So we're doing good in that regard. Yeah, we're crunching up on him. He's gonna keep losing slowly but surely, because the Mexican AI cannot win against just American might. Yeah, we've just got too many troops. Yeah, he's going to capitulate here the moment we take another couple major cities, so if we can push out to, say, here, we'll absolutely take it. Deathclaw in our team! Shit. Let's send the boys over there. Marines over Texas, Lubbock, perfect.
Enclave here.
Stent Security. It's no secret the government's monopoly has caused concern amongst several caravan companies, small-time owners. even some within the Army. With the recapture of Seattle and likewise Stent Security's main headquarters and production facility that ends today by presidential mandate and a ribbon-cutting ceremony in the former Dark Brotherhood city, Stent Security reopened its doors, manufacturing several ballistic weapons such as the R-95, along with its post-war models for the Wastelanders on a budget. While it takes some time to gain large customer base as well as the gun... to gain the large customer base as the gun runners, the fact that they lack a customer base in Pacific Northwest means and are now forbidden from operating there until 2320. Gives the restart up an edge in competition. Oh boy. Alright, we got Stent up and running. Is there anything else I want to spend my political power on? Not particularly. We can do Watts. Get Watts up and running. Yeah, if we can take another couple of capital or victory points here, they're going to crumble. He just doesn't have the numbers. Even on defense, this unit doesn't have an army. You might have broken our ciphers, but it's over for you. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Just take your lumps. I think that's that. It's gone. Yep, I think it's gone. Yep. I'll undo that. Oh my god. Alright, well. Nope, Mexico, bud, now is not the time to try to argue with me. I'm taking all this territory. You will get it later when I'm done. You will get it later when I'm done. I'm taking the Navy too, because I feel like it. Alright, that's that. We've eaten the big man himself. Let's see. We can make you become a puppet. Honduras can be integrated. Beautiful. Let's see, we should get events for like Teal'c and a few others, I believe, unless I need to do a focus, which I might. I just might. It's either that or I've got to do the some of these down here. Yeah, can't do that. We could do power the waste, raise the banner. Is not a puppet in the United States, which is really fucking good. That's really it, functionally speaking, because I think Teal'c was like one of the last big ones. Yeah, because we've got all this, so we'll have to see about that. But getting Teal'c's den is really, really nice. It's a really, really good province for resources, so that's good. We do want to get installation up and running. Get the naval base up. There we go. Think. Sit from Trusty Canteen. I could absolutely. North Passage. Use a GEC. Why not? We don't care about the rockets. Yeah, this is all fine. We're gonna let it all get divvied out when we need to. But I think we're done with war. Yeah, we're free of war right now. So, back to what I was originally planning. Dealing with these Muppets.
Who the hell is this? The president?
Gotta fucking redo all these orders again.
Who the hell is this? The
You're
president?
gonna go here.
You look-
We're gonna go this way.
Who the hell is this? The president?
President.
You look-
You're gonna go here
president's
as
watching us like a
well.
hawk.
I'm not gonna defend our allies' side of things. I just want to make sure we defend our side because they'll be okay. I think that's it. I think we're fine on the rest. I don't need to mobilize any other troops for it. So we'll make sure they get all positioned up and ready to. So we'll be good on that front. And then we will do that. So we'll finish up Harlan Farms and we'll go down the tree to get puppet demands on everybody, which will be good once we keep eating everyone. Oh, there goes a gun. Ooh, the truth of Vere Quorum. Callahan sat in his office in Red Mountain. It was not uncommon for the colonel to work late. This was no exception. He read several reports from the recent episodes of leaks across the country. It was his job alongside the Secret Service to find these leaks and stop them, as well as trace the source of the leaks. Navigating on his terminal to his investigation file, he opened a daily leak source, and he smiled at the simple duplicity. Quorum Verum had exceeded Donna's wild expectations. Nobody would suspect the guy was leading an investigation with the military side of the house. was the source of the leak. Oh, it was difficult, but the amount of trust he had accumulated meant nobody would suspect him. Working alongside the Secret Service, he was able to stay well ahead of the curve. Misdirection and change, of course, needed. Remembering back to the days of the Navarro archives, he remembered as his soldiers dutifully burned centuries of documents. Grant's orders were clear: burn all the papers, destroy all the records. Grant never did clarify it. Callahan didn't copy them. He hit enter and sent another set of documents into the seer. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. It's going to cause some fucking problems. Basically, if you don't know what that means, we burnt documents originally detailing what the Enclave was planning to do, and we tried to bury it. Callahan, being a rat fuck, is exposing us. Soldiers might be content with high nutrition rations, but their families and other support civilians certainly won't take too keenly on this pallet. So we have restarted Le Farms. Perfect. Armor places, whatever. I do need to get this done. Yeah, okay. Greatest power in the wastelands. Let's get it done. We're still looking good on everything. Yep. I think we're doing okay. Yeah, we're fine. Get all of our troops in line and see what comes next. Closing the front door, first and foremost, was clearing the radiation around the front door and the surrounding area. The task was made difficult since Radaway tends to freeze in cold climates. After clearing that, tearing out the old door was trivial, and we even studied somewhat to better reinforce it in the future. Putting it in was simple engineering task that was done within a few days. Much of it was thanks to the industry of the West Coast. We were able to ship it out and got the door sealed for the first time since it was blasted off, whenever that was. We posted guards around, and the place is looking like an actual military facility once more. That said, most of the surrounding area to our most vital installation in the central U.S. is a menagerie of mutant monster activity, haywire rampaging robots, and Colorado Springs, which is starting to recover from when Lanius's terror ran through the region. At least it's repaired. Whispers of hope, more base stability, and political power. Stars and Stripes, local ghouls taking over Dot's Diner. We've seen this event before. In the previous Diverge timeline, because we did Arlong in that timeline, and didn't fucking wait for the last minute like I did. Go ahead and restore power. And keep building on. How long would it take me? I mean, realistically, we can just wait. Ooh, Watts Electronics. Holy shit, why did that kill me? Private ownership was the cornerstone of American business pre-war. While the Enclave set up much of the infrastructure to power, heat, and cool homes across the waste, it's become a drain on the administration, whose efforts are better suited elsewhere. Today, in an official ceremony, the Department of Infrastructure and Public Works handed over control of much of the nation's power supply to Watts Electronics. While some criticized the privatization of national infrastructure, a Watts spokeswoman said that the company will offset costs through the production and sales of various electrical weapons and the other electronics devices that, while scarce today, were common in the 2100s. This includes laser rifles, electronic lockpicks, and even radios for the Wastelanders to enjoy. Perfect. So we got them up and running. Let's do Vault-Tec. Why not? Oh, I could have done this. Shit. Should have done that. Oh, yeah, because I hate these guys. Whoops. Should have done that. Police forces, power grids. Thank you. Yeah, luckily, I think we should be pretty good. I mean, it says there's inefficient or insufficient garrison. There won't be. So another set of bases come online, so we're just basically going to wait it out, get all this done up. Hooray, 50 political power. Oh, perfect, it bypassed, which means I should be able to do this. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And 5% weekly war support. Shit! We should have done this earlier. I'm a fucking idiot. Alright, where was it? We'll do Omaha. And at the deadline, and Reclamation Army Depot. So we'll get those up and running. Pine Ridge and the last redoubt. That's... Oh, wait, this territory too. Whoops. Yeah, last redoubt, Pine Ridge. Yeah, why not? We'll get them prepped up for it. Anything we can do without having to go to war is great. Save us a bunch of time. Restoring Boise. In the wake of the Great War, Boise, Idaho, much like the United States, was left in ruin. The harsh temperatures of the state and the lack of food meant many could no longer live in the city and were forced to move to areas alongside Snake River and elsewhere further south. Over time, it fell off caravan maps, and all that remained was the windswept skeleton of once great city, whose remains were eventually under the control of St. Michael's Militant Church of the Heaven's Gate. He used Boise as an example of those who came before, were destroyed by God's wrath, and of course, where St. Michael saw destruction, we see opportunity. The city itself is isolated from the religious zealotry that dominates Idaho, and that kind of stuff is hard to pierce. We've undertaken a massive restoration project to rebuild the city to focus away from the Christian seat of power in the mountains and to usurp their power. The streets are being cleared of debris, vital infrastructure is well on its way to being repaired, and the new buildings are beginning to rise from the ashes. The Idaho state government is setting up shop, and its first order of business is to clear out the remaining partisans in the mountains. The task is not easy in the slightest. Hopefully, in time, once bastion of religious extremism will serve as a shining example of the United States' commitment to rebuilding the nation, and that a man doesn't need to live in the fear of a brutal God, but instead enjoy the world that God has created. So where is it on the map? We stand for Heaven's Gate. Shit. This is going to be tough. Okay. St. Michael and his flocks within the lands of Heaven's Gate attempted to spread the word of God to what they deemed unholy lands and filled with sinners and pagans. Unfortunately, St. Michael considered a lot of people unholy sinners and pagans. Despite claiming to heed the word of God, he failed to realize that God blessed the Enclave and God blessed America. Even alliance with Caesar failed to stop his undoing, and his Holy Crusade ended with the U.S. forces crashing through the city with divine vengeance. While many of his followers fell in the fighting, we captured St. Michael. Many of his more fervent followers have taken to the mountains, believing that they can eke out a resistance to us. It gets rather cold in the winter. Whew. Listen to Colonel Callahan's proposal. Sure. Oh, God. Callahan never said he was a full reformist, just a loyal patriot who had followed orders. His plans for St. Michael he saw as fitting, others saw as horrifying. For St. Michael, he wasn't put to death for his crimes, despite many who wished to see it. As he lay in his cell, he was defiant, belligerent, and saw American law as below the Lord's law, which is all what he answered to. He spoke that his actions were the word of the Lord, but only his narrow militaristic view of the law. He was charged with crimes against humanity, but not only sentenced to death. Instead, he was sentenced to preaching his sermons to his most loyal followers for the rest of his days. Why? Callahan shoved his brain into a modified RoboBrain chassis, set it up to where he must constantly speak for eternity to his fervent flock who all met the same fate. He will be held in prison until his servos and systems fail and collapse, which by our estimate will be at least a few hundred years. God. You should not reuse the Lord's name in vain. Oh my God. That's fucking torturous. Callahan's a madman. Also, thank you, Melinter, for the sub. Appreciate it, my man. Twitch is apparently like, severely lacking behind the notification. Ugh. The Great Breach and the Deadline. Along the rivers from Rapid City lurks a peculiarly nasty variant of mutant that has plagued the land for centuries. A vertebrate flyover led the pilots to finding the reason for this horde. A breach in the old Midwest Containment Depot, now known as the Deadline. At first a quarantine zone for the new plague, the pre-war government began dumping dissidents, communist sympathizers, and other unwanted individuals in there. Ugh. Not what we're gonna do. But it seems to be a mess of survivors fighting back and the hordes of undying mutants flooding out of every broken orifice. We know records in there could implicate us and destroy what legitimacy we've regained over the past few years. Might be best to launch a sustained campaign to clear out the horde and the Deadline once for all. Fire solves everything. Operations in Omaha. It's hard to believe that Omaha was even hit by nuclear bombs. Well, bombs. Survivors of the Great War consider themselves to be the last pure Americans, even crafted man-made super soldiers and assisted them in ruling Omaha with an iron fist that lesser people were kept out or worse. Oh, where have we heard that before? Sure, their priests, these so-called man-made angels, give our troops hell when we first entered the city, but nothing couldn't be handled with the proper applications of power armor, firepower, and airstrikes. Didn't help they hadn't faced a real war in some times, and that's not a real shame. The real shame is we had to destroy a preserved and rebuilt city with the Stars and Stripes flying over Omaha once more. An interim government has been installed to try and figure out how they're going to run a state that is mostly locked behind a massive wall. Former members of the Order, stripped of their ranks and protection, and every single last priest dead or wailing how we've destroyed civilization and the last pure Americans. Perhaps we should show them Golgotha. And the Reclamation Army Depot. Most of our pre-war bases and facilities were stripped clean, running away, or overrun by robots or post-war maladies. usually robots due to the high amount of automation with the war with China caused. Places like the Sierra Army Depot are far and few between, which was a great surprise when Army forces approached Reclamation Depot and were greeted by General H-47, who not only recognized our codes, but greeted us as Enclave, good little robot general. Self-promoted, mind you, but has been dutifully carrying out his orders at the depot for the past 200 years. Although he's been distracted by the mutant escapees from Deadline, he's been more than happy to relinquish command of the base over to the U.S. Army, as 200 years have not been kind to his circuitry and servo droids. Stand down, General. Gotta love it. Good old robots. Good old robots. Just doing their job till the end of time. Alright, how close are we? So we got another 10 days, and then we'll be able to just get puppet CBs again. Or no, annex CBs against anybody who isn't a puppet, which is great. So we'll be able to do that fun little war, get that up and running. Vault-Tec will be up here soon. We're still working on a few things. Fly Cassidy caravans. Littered across the wasteland of Southern California, Arizona, lay the remnants of the Legion's Air Force. The Titanic Air War has left the lands littered with the remains of Crimson airships that terrorized American troops on the ground and battled the Air Force for control of the sky. The result has been a windfall for the scavengers and scrappers as they pick through the remains of the Great Air Battle. For one service, though, this was an opportunity, but a whole beginning, hoping to soar above the competition and enterprising one by the name of the Rose of Sharon Cassidy, of Cassidy Caravans from Vault, New Vegas, has managed to scrape together several crashed Legion airships, restyled them as America's first air caravan, operating out of what used to be Camp McCarran, which she staked a claim to after the fall of the NCR. Renamed to McCarran Aerodrome, Cassidy Caravans is offering not only flights to the area, but faster and safer cargo flights to the far reaches of the United States for affordable prices. When asked about where she acquired the gold to pay for Cassidy Caravan, or to pay for the McCarran claim, the Rose of Sharon Cassidy said she acquired it from a friend who decided not to let go so she could be getting in. If you seriously don't know this reference, this is a reference to anybody who has clept all the fucking gold in the Sierra Madre. You know what you did. You know what you did. You did not let go. And this is the reference she's making here, so. It's got it. I love the flavor in this mod. It is just so unique. Airship, air travel. So we're doing great on stability. War support, not so much. But stability, absolutely. Yeah, we'd improve their zones if we really wanted to. No real rush for it, so we're looking fine in that regard. But perfect. Just a few days, we'll get our war goals, and we'll be good to go. Okay, the time has come. The time has come for the Midnight Union faction to taste our boot. So here we go. And yes, we are willing to give up this territory here for the time being. Yep, and they called in their faction members, which is what we wanted them to. So we're good. So now we're going to just watch as it completely crumbles in its entirety. Just glorious map painting. Glorious map painting. Some more bases coming online. A lot of bases coming online. And Vault-Tec. Upon securing Plains Run, we made a horrifying discovery. Vault-Tec survived the Great War. Dun, dun, dun. Well, it survived until Lanius took him out anyway. However, the discovery of this raised questions about the various Vault-Tec vaults and the fate, as well as the largest, most predominant, of the most predominant pre-war corporations. It's no secret that Vault-Tec was the epitome of everything wrong in the pre-war area. Is a secret. We blame them for everything wrong that can be traced to us, but we don't talk about that. Prioritizing profit over ethics, predatory sales tactics, and unethical experiments on people for nothing more than an increase to their bottom line. Aside control vaults like Vault 8 and a handful of others, most vaults we've come across are nothing more than a nightmare horror show displaying the horrendous results of Project Safehouse. As we uncover more and more vaults, the unspeakable horrors will end. Many have seen fit to erect a monument to the thousands of Americans lost in the part of Great War of Vault-Tec's insidious desire for profit on the remains of the children of the cathedral's cathedral, which is the location of the first Vault-Tec vault, the demonstration vault. We've erected a monument to those lost. It's simply a wall with the numbers of every vault we've recovered in this horrendous experiment. Some say that standing by it, you can hear the voices of the lost whispering, they'll never forget. Why do the voices say the master lives? But yeah, the first vaults is where you encounter the master from Fallout 1. Who's under the children's cathedral, which is a very, very fun boss battle. watched the Stellaris videos and I felt like I was playing Stellaris. I boot up Stellaris and remember that I don't have 60 DLCs for Stellaris. Yep. Traditional Paradox gameplay. You know how it is. Oh, there's the wife, chat. Say hello to the wife. Did the Air Force get mobilized? It did. Oh, yeah. We're trucking through them right now. Yeah, nobody's going to be able to stop us. Oop. There you go. Quick intermission while the wife talks about Calfax. Oh. Oh, shit! Okay. Send for me, for I shall go. Well, what I want to know is who will look after us. We fought for 25 years for this country, for this nation. Granted, might have brought it back from the brink of death, but it was our blood, our tears that cemented it. We've got friends in the dirt. I've seen things that wake me up at night. I've got friends who put themselves in the dirt because of the things they've seen. I've seen guys come in off the streets asking for a free drink as they don't have money. I've heard it's worse in places like Los Angeles. I don't even want to know up north in places like Portland or Seattle. But I know a lot of the guys went to settle where after we shoved the war into the Brotherhood out, we gave everything for our country, and this country is going to give us anything for it. Yeah, basically talking about how we really didn't care about our veterans, which isn't true in my mind. Like, we've got... I think we have, like, full veteran benefits. Yeah, lifetime pensions. So what the fuck are you bitching about? We give you lifetime pensions. Morning intelligence summary. There was a saying around Red Mountain that it was a rough morning. If Callahan had coffee, he sat half awake in his chair as he and the rest of the staff received their morning intelligence summary before work began. Raider attacks along the border have been subsidized by the following series of air attacks. This is bullet point at the bottom. Bullet point at the bottom. Nuclear bombing in the capital. Sorry, sir, left in on accident. No. We're the only ones on this continent with nukes. Who the hell is nuking us, Chicago? We got a tip for some woman named Lee Moldaver. Tip, well, she broke in last night, but she was apprehended. She was talking about how there was going to be a nuclear attack on New Reno. We have her in lockdown awaiting transfer. Well, let me see her. You're either patently insane or there is something else up for you to try and break into Enclave Intelligence HQ. Who are you? I looked at Callahan behind the force wall. Everyone knows who I am. I really don't. Colonel Callahan, Enclave Intelligence. This is about a nuclear attack in Reno. You think Bud and his types of allies are going to sit by? You know who Vault-Tec is? We've been monitoring them. What does this have to do with nuclear bombing? You don't fit the model of the world. Bud's going to try to wipe you out, just like they did with the NCR. Ma'am, I have a machine upstairs that lets me rewrite memories, so enough with this cryptic shit. You didn't break in here for nothing. Either you're going to tell me what the fuck is going on, or I'm going to have you thinking your name is Williams. Bud is going to have his little managers destroy the NCR because they didn't fit Bud's vision. However, you Enclave type started your war and destroyed the NCR's vision before that, killing thousands. But now you're in charge, he's going to destroy you. You got evidence of this? I've already discussed that. Somehow the pre-war government returned. There was never anything good about the United States pre-war. I'm not you. I can't let these people die or condemn this to death. So what was his target? Oh yes, the U.S. Marshals. Marshals raided Vault 19, which is the first reborn law enforcement service. Powder gangers have tormented the Mojave wasteland for some time due to turmoil in the NCR as a whole. The citizens of the NCR were their favorite targets, but with the coming of the Enclave, they're going to turn to those who's identified as Americans as well. Led by anarchist Samuel Cook, the powder gangers even operated a radio station in Mojave where Cook spoke at length how the Enclave was no less corrupt and tyrannical than the NCR, and just they had rallied behind some old world flag to not make them the right to annex the wasteland. Yeah, fuck off. You're going to jail, bud. So back to conquering the wasteland. As they say. Ooh. Okay. Let me re-up on my nicotine. A lone cart pulled by ramen. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Pulled by Brahmin, walked through the dead of the night. 4 caravan smugglers kept their eyes for any sign of movement. They froze as a vertigo overhead. Man, if it weren't for the damn pay, whined a smuggler. Shut it. All we gotta do is push this cart in the city and get out. No one's gonna question a Brahmin cart full of scrap. I think it's weird that the old vault guy paid us so much just to push a cart full of scraps in the center. of a city. Cap's money, I don't care. You saw what he was paying. We do this, we get the biggest payday ever. Yeah, but we're pushing it into New Reno. The amount of law there is stupid. Even the NCR wasn't that uptight. Quit your yapping, or I'm going to shoot you and split your cut with the rest of us. Countdown to 0. Oh boy. And then Ashton military base. So, alright, let's do this. So, put that there. Granite walked in the bunker of the Sierra Army, dealing with the rest of the room seemingly in a frenzy. What's going on? We got one nuclear device half a mile outside New Reno and a Navy explosive ordnance disposal team on the way. The Supreme Court's being moved, alerting any and all members of Congress. Whereas President was in Vault City, is sheltering in the vault. What about the people in New Reno? Harrison gave it a pen look. All citizens have been ordered to shelter in place. We can't risk a pen. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. All we can do is wait until the phone rings to inform us the bomb went off or the bomb was defused. The room froze. If it weren't for the phone itself, we could hear a pin drop. And when Richard picked up the phone as if time stood still. Yeah, I'd let him know. That was the EOD team. Bombs defused. Whew. Tumultuous 2 hours with the nuclear bombs defusal. The breaths collected. Those who had attempted to destroy the Enclave a second time had made a very powerful enemy. There was no NCR, no Brotherhood of Steel that could save them this time. Grayson stood outside Vault 32 with the door already reached. Due to the animosity between Vault 32 survivors and the reality of their vault, told to Vault 33. Any and all members of Vault 31 were placed in Vault 32 for their own safety and also to assist in monitoring them. Vault 31 had been turned into an ad hoc field office for the marshals, the same marshals were rushing in. However, they were backed up by Enclave intelligence agents, Sigma troopers, and rangers. Callahan walked up to Grayson himself, bristling next to the intelligence chief. Colonel, I'm aware of your reputation. Make no mistakes, I will not see any law violated on my watch. Callahan's normally cocky demeanor turned rather dour. The President has informed me that I am to assist in any way possible. However, I'm aware this is a civilian matter in your jurisdiction. I will follow your lead. Besides, I don't think we want to be dragged before Graham on my account, shall we? Let us begin. During Grayson's time in Vault City, he read numerous reports and countless stories about Rangers rounding up a settlement's population, holding them in the center of town. Walking into the atrium of Vault 32, he was reminded of those same stories and reports. On the opposite side of it, he was everybody looking at him while bound and watched over by heavily armored men and women felt weird. The only difference was a brain on a Protectron was Bud Askins. Sir, we're short 2 members, spoke one of the marshals, former Vault 33 Overseer Hank McLean and Betty Person. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you have been implicated in a terrorist plot targeting the capital of the United States. The Vault 31 members looked amongst themselves before Bud spoke. What? That failed? Impossible. There's no way you could have known. What you call a confession? Mr. Askins, are you actually admitting to attempting a targeted nuclear strike against the Enclave of the United States? Enclave that's a damn fairy tale. I told you enough of this Enclave crap. I'm tired of hearing about it. There is no Enclave, there is no government. The United States is dead. No. Grayson gritted his teeth at the mocking brain on a Protectron that was Bud Askins. The cyborg hoggled forward defiantly as to challenge the old lawman. Listen, I don't know what nation you think you're heir to, but the United States is dead. We saw it. Your little playtime on the surface, that's all it is. Playtime. Now run along. None of us are citizens of the dead nation. We're citizens of Vault-Tec, and if you don't leave... Askins' arm sparked to life, seriously jumping into middle pause. Things might get messy. It did not occur to Bud that he and the rest of his buds happened to be surrounded by several well-armed marshals who promptly readied their guns in response to the Vault-Tec executive's threats. Other members of Vault 31 looked uneasy, perhaps wondering if the 200 years in a jar had messed with Bud's brain a bit too much. However, this all stopped as dark chuckling drew over the tense silence. What was so funny? Who is laughing? Why are they laughing? Shouted Bud. A figure in a brown leather uniform stepped forward. Grayson shook his head as he knew any attempts to handling this within the confines of the Constitution would have got thrown out the window by Bud's hubris. Mr. Askins, Grayson spoke, at least try to save some people. Do you speak for all the members of 31? They're my executive assistants. I speak for all of them. Grayson signed as Callahan stepped forward, flicking the top off a Nuka-Cola. Name's Colonel Callahan, Enclave Intelligence, and since none of you are American citizens, that means you're under my jurisdiction. Is this a Fallout mod? Yes, it's a Fallout mod. Is this supposed to scare me? His response was a plasma bolt from Callahan to his robotic chassis. The Protectron brain crumpled over the jar containing the Vault-Tec senior junior vice president's head fell off. Everybody looked at the intelligence officer as he raised his still smoking plasma gun. Folks, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a good man. I'm not one of the good guys. I've tossed people out of vertebrates. I've left them be eaten by monsters. I've turned them into vegetable people, and I've been summoned before Congress more times than I can count. He kicked Bud's brain jar, causing it to go flying across the atrium. And I have a lot of enemies. The only reason I'm here before you is I get results. I make miracles happen. So in theory, if I fail here, my enemies might have something to get me removed. So there is no way I'm going to fail. I highly advise all of you to reclaim your American citizenship and cooperate with the Attorney General. Or you're going to have to write a new set of articles in the Geneva Convention for what I'm going to do to you, so please make my day. So he now knew why Graham hated him. All you knows. Vault 31 will once again become the epicenter of the investigation. Each member of Vault 31 was questioned and was placed in cryostasis until it was over to ensure they couldn't conspire with the rest. Grayson watched as Chase Powell was placed in suspended animation. Following Callahan's little show, every member of Bud's Buds reclaimed their citizenship or at least paid lip service to save their own skids. Anything yet? Asked Callahan, walking up. No, however, it seems McLean and Pearson were an inner circle and most were in on it. Seems Bud kept everything close to the chest. Makes sense. Even if all of them were his cronies, he could really only rely on his most trusted members. Records show they've been out of here for a while. Yeah. Also, the only two assholes not here. So we have our culprits, but no leads. Anything from Bud? Callahan smiled darkly. I'm having him pledge allegiance. Oh, God. Masker Askins, I have to ask, do you honestly think you had a chance? Call me cruel, but do you honestly think you had a future in this world? So I convinced the Enclave didn't exist. We survived the Great War, and what was one more nuke going to do? Asked Callahan. Grayson shook his head. Bud repeated the pledges of allegiance, desperation in his voice. Colonel, please, enough theatrics, may I? Callahan smiled before pressing a button on the terminal Bud had been hooked up to. Grayson sat down next to Bud as the cyborg, panting as if he had to run a mile. Who are you people? We are the Enclave. The Enclave, panted Bud, doesn't... Mr. Askins! Do you think I want to drag myself before a farce and lie about it? You can lie to yourself all day, but we will not lie to you. Since you refuse your U.S. citizenship, I'm perfectly content to let Callahan toy with you, and unless you tell me where Overseer McLean and Miss Pearson are... Bud patted his jaw, bubbling. I'll never tell. You won't get a thing out of me. Hear me? I'm Bud Askins. I got it. Huh? What? Even Grayson was confused. You know, stressing you out might lower your mental guard. Had this puppy hooked up to your mind the whole time. Vault-Tec Enrichment Center near Sac City. Wow, they fucking read his mind. Vault-Tec Enrichment Center was a long-looted structure that had once been used as a hideout for raiders before being cleared out by the NCR Army, and at one point as the followers' medical post during the NCR Enclave War. It now buzzes vertebrates descended upon the place. Half of them were U.S. Marshals, the other half Enclave intelligence. Joint teams swarmed the place before several of them encountered some automated turrets protecting a secure back room. The ambush was negated when Sigma came up and easily dealt with the scrap turrets. The marshals broke into the room with the Sigma troopers backing them up, where they discovered were the signs of life of a few days, as well as the dead body of Betty Pearson, a bullet hole in her forehead. Half an hour later, Grayson and Callahan were looking over the body. They knew we were coming. Monitoring the airways, likely listening in for the Enclave to collapse, and when they realized it hadn't happened, they were coming, that we were coming split. No, Callahan killed his partner. She's old and not in the best shape. McLean, from what I remember, was in shape. It's likely he didn't want dead weight or a loose end. Cunning, now we have a highly dangerous man out there willing to kill to survive. Now what? Marshal Gurrid, get security footage of Hank McLean. I want his poster plastered from Reading to Dayglow to Gecko. Dead or alive, sir? Oh boy. I looked over his report from the vaults and the raid on the old enrichment center that Grayson Callahan had given him. I'll release a statement, but people need to be aware this man needs to be aware he has nowhere to hide. So we've got a pre-war executive assistant with a knowledge of nuclear bombs running around? Unfortunately, yes. It didn't look like McLean had been long gone. In fact, it looked like he left in a haste, possibly just before our vertebrates arrived. We couldn't cordon the place off. We were moving too fast. Grayson put the papers down and adjusted his tie. I have a speech to prepare.
Good evening, America. I wish I was coming to you tonight with better news. A few days ago, we nearly had a crisis in that rogue elements of a vault attempted the nuclear bombing of our temporary capital out west. It was through a tip and quick acting that I'm speaking to you tonight from the Western White House. Or speaking to you at all. All this in an attempt to destabilize and destroy our great nation. By now, a few of you have seen the wanted posters for a Hank McLean, the man responsible for the attempted nuclear bombing. I'm asking any and all Americans that have any information to alert local and national authorities. I want to make it clear that this terrorist will not be welcomed in any city, town, or settlement. That we will hunt him to the ends of the America's shores if we have to. This man thought he could destroy what we worked so hard to create. We will show him that he has made a very powerful enemy. They say in the wasteland one man can change history. Well, let's show them what thousands can do when they are united. Good night.
God bless America. All right, we'll get that going. Ashton's Air Force Base was the Air Force component of the component of the Commonwealth Ballistic Defense complex. Tasked with providing targeting and launch data for the missiles in the base, as well as maintaining the base in what is technically an unstable region. The base remains in the better shape than the Army, largely due to the more technical side of the Air Force operations having greater security. Thankfully, nobody managed to activate the launch sequence, as it might have caused some problems. The strange underground readings have only gotten worse with more sensors we activate. One or two malfunctioning is one thing, and some of the missed readings are expected to be of age, but every last one of them, I'm still new ones, and they're reading the same thing. Something down there. It's not mole rats. It's burrowing underground beneath what our sole nuclear missile base in the region presents as a huge security concern. Okay, skip that. There appears to be a place where these burrowers were closer to the surface than the rest and might benefit it if we dig out there and see what exactly is going on down there. Engineers pulled some excavation equipment and are waiting orders from higher up. Find out what's going on down there. You don't want to crack that open. So we'll find out what's going on with that. As we do that, let's go ahead and let's do Area 51. Let's get Area 15 up and running. As we continue our conquest across the wasteland here. Martial Republic's falling. Ruminators are going as well. Free cons are getting in pretty bad. I mean, the Confederation here is taking some of this territory. It's really a MacGuffin. It's not really a big deal. As long as we get their main settlements here in the bullpen, they'll be gone. Okay. Before I read that, let's see. Do we have anything else we can do in the meantime? No. Oh, we got to do this for sure. So we got to save some political power for that. And then, yeah, I think we're good so far on that. All right, so let's read this before we do it. So, another secret of the Enclave was the plan to restore the United States without releasing a modified virus into the air, one that involved the most advanced robots of the day, the calculator. However, these plans failed, and we now know why. The evidence from the records in the Battle of the Complex showed the Brotherhood of Steel launched an all-out assault on the facility on the complex, bent on destroying the calculator once and for all. Suffice it to say, they accomplished just that. Most of the calculator systems were damaged beyond the repair. The code worked for them wiped from existence. It could take decades to restore everything, and that's if everything works out in our favor. Thankfully, the base nuclear power plant is still functioning. We managed to get that back online. However, the robots that were once stored here are gone, likely never to be repurposed. Damn it all to hell. So I believe the calculator, if I remember my lore correctly, was a cut content piece, I believe. But it was supposed to be an incredibly advanced robot. You can access them in this mod. They are a craftable thing. But it's limited to a very select couple of nations. We'll go ahead and do that. Nitrogen cooling, perfect. I don't think we need to upgrade anything else. I think we're literally just chewing along just fine. No real issues. The only real issue we have right now is our Air Force is just nowhere near enough, but I mean, we're winning hand over fist. Black Rocks is dead. Hank McLean lynched. Well, not really. We got word of a man matching his description near the hub. However, by the time we got there, an angry mom was informed the person claimed to be Hank McLean was hanging from an unused light pole. However, when the marshals got him down, they discovered not to be Hank McLean, but instead a drifter who matched his descriptions. This means an innocent guy just got hung because he looked like the guy. We did manage to apprehend those who ordered the man hanged, as they were very easy to collect a reward for capturing Hank McLean. However, when they were informed that was not only this was the wrong man, but they were also being arrested for third-degree murder. Yikes. Alright, that's one down. Couple more to go. Sergeant Major Dornan joins veterans. Oh, yes. That's fine. We will give all the veterans the rights they would like. We have no problems with that. Give them the best retirement possible. I mean, we've had to kill a lot of people to get to this point. So, by all means, give them what they are owed. The atomic cannon. The atomic cannon. Yes, I don't care. Get it manufactured. Speaking of atomic cannons, how many do we shit out back at home? 2 more. Okay. You can go there. You can go here. Have fun. Alright. Gotta finish up the last of the free cons. A few others. Bomb scare. Ooh. Let's see. Residents of California fled the area in a panic when a caravan was discovered carrying on an unmarked device. Fears were alleviated when it was discovered the nuclear device was a highway engine that had been delivered to the town. After a few hours, officials managed to track down the owner of a local machine shop who was restoring the pre-war car, was unaware that the device was actually an engine he bought off a caravan's previous merchant, the mechanic shop at the center of town. He was waiting for the arrival of the caravan to collect madness. Yeah, everybody's in a frenzy thinking it's the end times, so that does make sense. Just try to make your way up to Rapid City. Just and end this fight already. Oh, God, I love autosave. Every time you think it's an autosave, it's actually something else. Okay, before we do that, let's see about robots. No, we don't have advanced robot tech. Infantry techs, I think, fairly caught up at this point. Just a few outliers. Industry tech, we sure can get working on. The engineering team broke into a series of tunnels. Before they were attacked by dozens of reptilian mutants that would slaughter them wholesale. The base security responded before they themselves were overrun as hundreds of the things flooded out of the tunnel we had dug. We would have seen a loss of everybody at the base had they not retreated upon reaching the sunlight. Seems the aversion of bright light. The base is still being activated. Are evacuated response and emergency mutants moving in. We're still getting readings of seismic sensors indicating there's a lot more movement underneath than before. It seems like we've struck the mutant's hornet's nest due to the nature of the nuclear weapons stored here. Heavy ordnance ruled out. I mean, the only way to get rid of these things is the hard way, given that they easily wiped out a squad of power armored infantry. It's not going to be easy to remove them in this time. Do we have our own mutants? Muty on muty violence. But yes, they're talking about the fucking burrowers of the Divide. Which, because of the way that they breed and the way that they act, more or less can consume the entirety of the wasteland. Remainders are gone. Beautiful. Speaker Graham proposes... Ooh. Give me 1 second. Just that. Sure. Here we go. Speaker Graham proposes a bill to reintroduce the Veterans Administration. Yes! Bring back the VA! The bill is expected to pass the House. Yes, bring back the VA. Give them all the money they need. Apparently for guys who keep getting eaten by death claws as well. Alright, we just need to kill the free cons and the marshals, and we'll be good in that regard. Yeah, nobody's contesting any of these troops here, so it's over for these guys. It's completely over. Yeah, cons are going to get slaughtered again, I'm afraid. Disaster in the Divide. Situation at the base has only gotten worse as things emerge at night, and vertebrate flights and security perimeter have been able to barely contain them. What's more is they can easily tunnel through the ground, and our soldiers have been given over to calling them tunnelers. During the daylight hours, we've been able to send in automated units to scout, but even the mighty sentry bot is taken down by a handful of these things. Thankfully, they can't fly, and our vertebrates are providing overwatch. More on their way. As of now, the situation is stable. What was not stable was the military staff when Granite put forth this plan to send the Slater, the raccoon people, to take control of the situation. It wasn't that any of the general staff were prejudiced against the Slater, it was just that the Divide mutants were known to take down a sentry bot with numbers and ease, and the Slater were called in, were a little hesitant after reading the reports. Yet, as meetings drew on, more and more commanders came to the President's side. Slater were well adapted to fighting in enclosed environments, and their heightened senses would be an advantage underground. With further push thanks to Granite's ruthless charisma, the decision was made. All that was left was to gather a strike force. Prepare the might of the military. We're sending in the raccoons! That's going to be the fall of them. Okay, I don't care about their economy. Area 15. What started as the EPA test site for milk contamination, following on from Operation Schooner, soon expanded into the late 2060s. While the realization that nuclear war could be a thing, called the Schooner Hotel to keep prying communist eyes away, the test site housed numerous animals, plants, and stock foods to test the reaction to radiation. The data retrieved would prove invaluable to anybody trying to survive in the post-apocalyptic or post-nuclear environment. Perhaps it was the name that kept the bodies like the Brotherhood of the Followers of Apocalypse from investigating the area. Schooner Hotel didn't exactly invite the idea of food research. Oh, okay. Little old boost to monthly stuffs. Great. Let's go ahead and do the big empty. You know what? Actually, let's get Red Mountain done, because that's a short chain. Let's get that finished. Where at this point we're completely unstoppable. Nobody can contest us. Perfect. War's over. Dun 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 dun. Eat them all. Eat them all. Eat them all. Eat them all. They're gone. Perfect. We got quite a few decisions we got to do still. Okay, another remnant. Sure, we'll further repair some bases. Course police forces, fire everything, get everything fixed up. Let's see. We will do Mount Rushmore. Yes. Which I think got nuked, if I remember correctly. Do we have any other nations that are coming to our sway at this point? Pine Ridge and Last Redoubt. Last Redoubt for sure. Pine Ridge, yes. I don't know what the fuck's going on with these idiots. I do need to eat these guys, but it's not giving me the option to, so I might have to quickly console them in. Oh, it's no big deal. Sorrows is one of ours. Dead Horses is one of ours as well. The Divide. When the fuck did you get free again? Oh, whatever. Ginger de Sol we're eating. Costa Coffee we're doing. Guerreros de Honduras. We can quickly wipe them out. I'm going to send Bonnie
Enclave
down
here.
We're going to quickly just wipe these guys out. Do that. So when these forces arrive, we'll do it. Country ain't big enough for the two of us. Recently, we're getting strange complaints out of the West Central California. Complaints about the government collecting taxes, which amounted to nothing more than bribes to allow safe passage, else be harassed by sheriffs working for the president. Investigating the area, we found a local power broker named Sorrel Booker has declared that New Reno has fallen, that his government is now in charge. No, that's not a typo. That's actually how he spelled it. Government. He and his gang have set up an old settlement and are passing themselves off as sheriffs, collecting taxes and other incomes from people moving through the area. Given our efforts elsewhere, it seems he's using this area created by McLean to mislead citizens. Of course, it never occurred to him that Reno hasn't fallen and the government is very much still exists. Given the fact he misspelled government, we don't think the intelligence is his strong suit. Send in the marshals. Please go deal with that problem. Thank you. M200 assault rifle. Perfect. All right, back to working data links and a few other things. We'll get that all done up. The government and the government. To see the power of President Booker was a dusty old saloon guarded by his sheriffs, which amounted to nothing more than thugs in the old highway patrolman uniforms and badges made from the Sunset Sarsaparilla deputy badges. Marshals arrived by nightfall, reminiscent of the NCR Ranger. By nightfall, the orders were clear and attempt to arrest, if anything, handle all hostile action with a proportional response. A series of actual sheriff deputies and law enforcement had been collected to assist the marshals, and never were hanging back awaiting the signal. As the marshals made their way into town, a few Booker sheriffs tried to stop them until they realized what they were up against. Then the shooting started. For 2 hours, the marshals duked it out between the poorly equipped sheriffs as they tightened the noose around the town. The reason they didn't move faster was the marshals had to positively identify their targets, as there were still people in the town. Soon as they breached into Booker's saloon, as he put a pistol to his head, one clean shot later, Booker's pistol was on the floor and the marshals were placing him under arrest. A fitting end. Don't try no shit. We got a Leda McLean. We got a wire from the Happy Trails Caravan Company in Sac City. One of their operatives headed north were paid by an older gentleman matching McLean's description. According to the tip, the guy looked emaciated and worn. It looks like he hadn't eaten in days. They plan to stop over in the settlement on their way north to pick up some supplies and are willing to turn him over. It's far outside our area of influence, but when you have murder birds, nothing is too far. Amusingly, it seems that not only were they expecting reward money, but they also accepted the large sum that McLean had paid them to keep quiet. It's a double payday for them. Okay. The Robotic Fortress. Just south of Dunning, Nebraska, lay the Reclamation Army Depot, created in 2037. The Reclamation served as a robotics department for the Army, primarily stockpiling heavy robots, protectrons, and gutsies. Its sole distinction for being the only robotics Army depot in the whole of the United States, well, at least until the blue flu and the new plague swept through the majority of Nebraska and southern South Dakota, leading to the Army to pull any personnel. Instead, leaving the depot to the throes of time, the Army left the base in charge of experimental robots, which had the ability to act as officers over other robots at the base. In the great aftermath, the Reclamation gave control of General H-47. The robot had been programmed to be the officer in charge of the facility, although back then he was given the rank of corporal to ensure it would be below any human personnel. It used the depot stockpile of robots to try and put the plague lands back under federal control, to little success until our arrival. The self-proclamation general thankfully accepted our codes and verified us as the federal government, allowing us to retake control of any lands he controlled. The Army back in American hands, we restored the Reclamation Army depot back to active service with the help of the robots in sight, once more giving the Robot Corps their own depot to work with. Perfect. The Steam Fort. Fort Boise was one of the few American bases reactivated in the Sino-American War. Boise mainly served as an Army base that trained infantry, mountaineers, and how to operate artillery. It wasn't overly important back then, that it would not save it when nuclear bombardment from Boise, Idaho, located just northeast, would send shockwaves which severely damaged the site, eventually leaving it collapsed, abandoned, derelict, and abandoned by few survivors, if any. In the aftermath of the bombs, it became Heaven's Gate's main base. Fucking Heaven's Gate. Fucking Heaven's Gate. We'll go ahead and do Cheyenne as well. Wolverines. Oh, boy. Oh boy. Oh my god. Okay. Whew. When we heard that the lands of Daoshu Lu and Lexi Lu expected that they were Chinese escapees from Boulder Prison or maybe from some other internment camp from elsewhere, we didn't really care for them after the Great War. Kind of like the Shi, but homegrown. Well, it turns out, they were more like the Shi than we realized, as both nations were the remnants of the Chinese Special Forces deployed on the onset of the Great War to wreak havoc in America. The subsequent destruction of the world by nuclear bombs means their mission ended before it could start, and they had no contact with the commies in China. Of course, that didn't stop them from being ghoulified, trying and failing to recreate what they considered true communism on American soil. I guess a series of disagreements over the past 200 years meant that they weren't all too successful, having been pushed around by the Iron Lords, the hang dogs, not the hand dogs, and anyone else who didn't pick a fight. What do you know? Even how communism doesn't work. Commie ghouls, they'll steal our rockets. Why are you in my office? Kill them. Doesn't think it matters, but sure, we'll do this. Mount Rushmore. The Wilder Wood had become something of a legend among the denizens of the Northwest Commonwealth, filled with all sorts of mutated monsters and raiders and just plain old spooky legends. It's widely avoided, and that changed as the still snow in the trees and the windswept silence, shadowed by vertebrates flying over it low in a security sweep not far off amongst the mountains where the faces of the leaders of the old world lights were fixed as the aircraft continued to hover around. On the ground, laser weapons chased off feral ghouls as engineers began erecting force fields to keep anything else at bay. Mount Rushmore had been found. Having weathered the storm of the Great War, a singular nuclear weapon was found at its base. Having never gone off, a bomb technician deactivated it. The monument has returned to American hands. Unfortunately, the nature of Wilder Woods means it'll be some time before it can return to a full monument and tourist status. But it's great for propaganda. Okay, if you say so. Pine Ridge becomes a federal commonwealth. Yes, annex these. Why can't we do Gent of the Soul? That's strange. Oh, they haven't done their focus. I think they become a focus at some point. That does it, but that's fine. We'll eat them too. Oh my god. Okay, Hurlong Medical. Pre-war, if one was injured in Hurlong or even on base, it was serious. They would be evacuated either by ambulance or helicopter to Reno. We don't have that luxury anymore. We doubt anyone wants to ride on a Brahmin cart all the way to New Reno. While the Sierra Army Depot does have advanced medical facilities on the ground, it's primarily for personnel stationed on base, though it can be used in an emergency. However, for day-to-day checkups, something like that, something else was needed. Working with the followers of the apocalypse managed to expand on some old shops and turn them into a triage clinic, a surgery center, as well as a small outpost for their followers themselves. A base nearby has given them a few reprogrammed Mr. Gutsy and Mr. Handy used to use to supplement their manpower. Followers fund much of the operation as well as provide supplies by the base, such as stimpaks, medical tools, and the aforementioned robots. They are, however, asking for donations of a list of materials that can be donated from the local populace. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? That's a rats event. The last thing I expected. Real had reservations striking an alliance with the Enclave, but they had been true to their word and they even treated them as equals, at least in law. It was impossible for every human to see anything but mutated raccoons. However, they had done well with the Slater and even cured his illness, allowing him to continue living and leading his people. When the representatives from the army arrived requesting assistance with crisis further south, the old Slater was confused. Here are the war stories from the Slater. Scout corps of the Enclave Army was one of the most powerful in the world, having tamed all of Nevada and swept aside the NCR like it was nothing. If they had come to him now, it must have been dire. The old Slater, along with his Scout Corps veterans, listened to the Army officers explain the situation of the divide. Yep. Settlement of Cosworld was a minor settlement built into the remnants of a busted-down U.S. Military convoy. The Happy Trails Caravan Company was one of the few routes that had walked this area and provided some income for the settlement. It was an unassuming town and weathered much of the turmoil in the wasteland for some time. Of course, all things must come to an end. The chase ends. The last of Bud's buds. The Marshall's vertibird landed on the landing pad as Grace and Callahan stood there waiting for the engines to shut off. At long last, the manhunt for Hank McLean was over, and of course, before they dragged him to the court alongside Bug, Grayson wanted answers. Bud was a sociopath, but spent his time in a jar, clearly had altered his perception of reality. McLean had a daughter, a son, and a family. Why would he throw all that away? Why risk all of this? First out of the vertibird were some Slater marshals alongside human marshals. McLean was let out, was clearly disturbed by the sight of the slaughter. One even fake growling and biting had him, causing the former Vault 33 overseer to jump and scream, which was met by laughter from the Slater. Clearly enjoyed seeing a human so terrified of him. I love these little guys, chuckled Callahan. Grayson walked up and looked over the emaciated McLean. It was clear that McLean wanted this to end, but there was still fire inside of him. Defiance didn't matter. Mr. McLean, I presume. Welcome to Sierra Army Depot. The winning team. It was a poorly lit room, a single 40-watt bulb, an old table, 2 chairs, and 3 ceiling-mounted auto turrets trained on a single prisoner. There, worn out from everything that had happened, sat Hank McLean as he contemplated everything. The door opened. Grayson sat down and laid some papers before Hank. Surprisingly, by all accounts, you would have gotten off easy. Had you not shot Miss Pearson, you would be only facing 20 years. Mr. Askins would be the one taking the fall. Sadly, murder is murder, of course. I'm not here to give you what you're being charged with. No. I want to ask you why. Why do this? Hank was quiet, sitting there opposite of Grayson, tired, worn out. Grayson cracked his neck. McLean, the president has tasked us with finding out why. Now, outside the door is a monster with a Nuka-Cola addiction, and frankly, he frightens me. Either you tell me why he tried to destroy the government. Government? What government? The United States? That's a joke. The United States is dead. I saw it die. All that's left are savages. A savage people who are still waging war 200 years later. A world in factions endlessly fighting, endlessly at war. I had to make a choice between your violent world and my peaceful one. Enough of this United States shit. Grayson nodded. You know, I used to be just like you. We called them muties back then, continued Grayson. We all did. We all grew up calling them muties freaks, and everything went to hell. I escaped with an angry old NCO field. Head east to Vault City. We wound up in the courtyard, and it was there I came face to face with a mutie. You know what what they did to me, McLean? You know what those people I called muties my whole life? They handed me a water, said I looked thirsty and could use a drink. Grayson leaned forward, eyeing McLean. I was treated like vermin by those Vault City elites, and I had to fight to get my rights back. Spent time in the Vault City Guard to earn money to open my practice, and I saw the horrors and terror that was in this wasteland. I've seen unspeakable things, and I've had to put away some vile dregs that I wouldn't call human. I always think back to the cup of water I was handed. Even when I saw all that, there was something still good in this wasteland. I've worked my whole life remembering that. And then there's you. Grayson stood up, loosened his tie a bit, who decided to destroy everything without even stopping to think, who else lives out there? No. Because they don't fit your wasteland. In polite society, Mr. McLean, I would let 1,000 raider bosses go free, than not to see you shoved in the deepest hole I can find. You disgust me. However, your fate is not for me to decide. That is for a judge and a jury of your peers. Good day, Mr. McLean. I hope to never see you again. The trial of Overseer Askins and McLean. A federal court today sentenced Vault 31 Overseer Bud Askins to death. Following the attempted nuclear bombing of the United States, with the judge citing it was too dangerous for Bud Askins to be left alive. Mr. Askins was noted in being held in contempt of court several times by preceding judge, which some analysts are saying led to his death sentence. Former Vault 33 Overseer Hank McLean had been sentenced to life imprisonment for aiding and abetting terrorism, plus 40 years for the murder of Vault resident Betty Pearson. Additional charges such as being accessory to a mob lynching was passed to the Sierra Commonwealth Court following federal review. The president thanked Attorney General Felix Grayson and the Intelligence Chief Colonel Mattis Callahan for their role in bringing this crisis to a close. Speaking to the assembled press, President Grant announced that the time of lawlessness and terror that defined the last 200 years is coming to a close, and this marks the turning point of a new era. America stands. Oh, hey, look! Oh, fuck, I don't have political power. My goddamn war support's back up. Shit, I could go war economy. Fucking, I guess not. How much political power am I making? About 3. Ooh. Main Operations Center. It was here we were alerted of birds in the air on that fateful October morning in 2077. It was this very command room at 9:18 EST that had confirmed the first nuclear launches on American soil, destroying much of the West Coast. To take over Mexico, we're working on finishing the scraps of it right now. A few of them are still in their seats, holes in their heads, pistols still in their bony grips. Others lay dead near the door in a desperate attempt to get out and see their loved ones once more, but died from radiation from the bombs that struck Colorado Springs. We've been so focused on reclaiming the United States, so busy returning America to former glory, we didn't stop and look at the remains we've been sifting through. It's a bit sobering. There is a story here, a somber one, of men and women who watched the world end and could do nothing to stop it. Helpless as the hubris of the old world ended everything. Ravages of time have made identifying who is who difficult. We identified them through the duty logs and for what we can piece together of their uniforms. We will give them a proper burial and a monument detailing their names. They watched the world end, my god. Which is true. And we can restore NORAD if we have the political power. Red Mountain's going to come online here in a little bit. Which will be fine. But yes, the next goal is to attack these guys. Senate to reintroduce a revised veterans bill. Beautiful. So let's get our Veterans Affairs going. Come on now. Well, give me a sec to wipe all this crap off. Recreating Cheyenne. Cheyenne, Wyoming, although scarred by the Great War, managed to survive as a modest but vital hub throughout the post-war caravan routes. Over the years, the city became a minor economic power in the region, a waypoint for traders and travelers navigating the harsh, irradiated landscape. Those scavenging in Denver found that Cheyenne was the perfect place to sell what they found in the city, since trade caravans headed in all directions. However, a fragile peace was shattered when a fanatical ghoul known as the Great Glowing One arrived in the region. Driven by a twisted belief that ghoulification was the next stage of human evolution, he began forcibly converting others to ghouls, creating a fanatical cult that terrorized the city and surrounding areas. Suffice it to say, by the time of arrival, the situation had become dire. The once thriving trade routes were disrupted. The city's human population was rapidly diminishing under the Great Glowing One's reign of terror. Even our ghouls were horrified to what was going on, and these were the ghouls that spearheaded the attack in Wyoming. With the threat eliminated, not only has the economic progress of Cheyenne been restored, we've officially restated it as the capital of Wyoming, marking a new chapter in its history. Money flowing into the city, as well as control it had over nearby trade centers, has given us an edge in establishing order in the region, especially since our efforts are still hampered in Colorado. Perfect. All right, so we are getting everything all shipshape here. A meeting of man and mutants. I'm going to let this press over here for a little bit. Yeah, waiting for those. We're gonna head and gonna go do that. It's fine. What they were asking for was a tall order. Even for FEV mutants, these tunneler creatures seem fierce. For his part, Rel was invited to New Reno to personally meet with President Granite for the first time since the two signed the unification treaty. Granite welcomed a giggle. Welcomed the old Slater warmly, giving the Slater every report he personally had received, and the old Slater looked over it with some concern. These things, they were basically animals, and packs that could take down a Deathclaw with ease. A monster of Slater legend was nothing but an afternoon hunt for these things. He also read the casualty reports, and he sat back in his chair. Rel cast his eyes over the U.S. flag that Granite had in the corner. Some of his own kin had been killed in the operations in the past few years, and some fighting side by side with humans who had brought them in. And Rel thought back to the day when he arrived at the Burrows and extended a welcoming hand. He also remembered when the first units of the Scout Corps were sent to war, and the glowing praise delivered to him from their actions. Sealing his resolve, he would help the country that had brought him in and welcomed him to our nation. Standing on his chair, mostly at eye level with Granite, Relson agreed that the Slater Scout Corps would do everything in their power to assist in defeating this crisis. I know I made the right decision. We're going to send the raccoons in to kill the things that are killing the Deathclaws. It's fine. It's fine. The first Slater arrived at the perimeter with mere hours, delivered by Vertibird. Their small size allowed several dozen to be delivered in just a single bird. While some of them were raw recruits, the vast bulk of them were veterans of the Enclave's wars and the Raider pacification campaigns. Receiving their briefing, the mutated raccoons got to work making their way towards the base. At the same time, the ground commander, accepting but skeptical of the Slater, had been working on setting up a series of modified armored vehicles with floodlights to try and reach the breach. Slater Major thanked the ground commander before setting off with the rest of their troops. I trust them, they'll get the job done. They're going to drill it out. And while I'm going to let a little tick here. Ooh. A lot of money came in. Come on, give me a tick of political power. Here we go. I think we can only do a couple right now. So we'll do this, that. But of presidents and barons. And then we're going to declare war on these guys. And wipe them out.
Everything's always tighter out here at Enclave.
Oh my god. Oh god. Alright, so about FEV. Of all the pre-war maladies that plague the wasteland, none have been more apparent than FEV. When it started as an earnest attempt to protect Americans from Chinese biological attacks, it became a catalyst for nearly every major event in post-war America. From the Master's Army to the literal plague that hit Utah, the FEV has brought nothing but pain and destruction to the waste. However, our efforts in the Dugway Proving Ground have bore some fruit. Working off our old research to omnicide, cure the wasteland of radioactive maladies, or scientists have managed to rework the deadly stuff into targeting certain wasteland horrors, from Cazadors to Deathclaws. Of course, anything involving requires the president's approval in the science team. Testing results. Ooh. No, I think we're done with FEV. Just shelve FEV. Don't bother with it. We do not have an Air Force down here because I just think we don't actually have air bases that can reach this shit. We've only got transport, some jet fighters, not much. I mean, I could put some jet fighters up and attach it to that army, I suppose. But I don't think they're going to be able to reach. Yeah, it's just right out of it. Both bills passed Congress. Beautiful. We now have the Veteran Affairs Office. Mutant versus mutant. The Slater made contact with the tunnelers at first. The mutated humanoids didn't know what to make of the furry FEV raccoons. They observed the little fuzzy creatures with confusion before the Slater struck. Operating in small unit tactics, the Slater took down several within the base before the tunnelers finally recognized them as a threat. But the Slater took some casualties. A mix of their own military tactics and old hunting tricks kept them relatively light. What's more, the tunnelers weren't even safe when they tried to dig underground, with the burrowing Slater following them into their holes and striking them on their own turf. Seismic sensors are picking up what can be described as small, localized explosions. Likely, the Slater using grenades and other explosives tried to root the things out. Tenacious little beasts, aren't they? Dude, the raccoons are cleaning the fucking wasteland up. That shit's great.
Enclave here.
Yeah, basically, if we can just like cut this tile off, this army's fucked. It's over. They physically can't keep up with us now. Alright, that's that done. Let's go ahead and do this. What? Oh, they flipped to us as a federal protectorate. Oh, cool. Something happened. During a resupply, reinforce, and evacuation run, one of our pilots noticed that the Slater had captured several of the larger brutes and were apparently riding the things like a wild Brahmin at rodeo. When asked the reason for his insubordination, the Slater major calmly replied that his troops were taking some initiative and tactics and applying the U.S. Army's tradition of innovation. He explained the tunnels were no different than any other mutated horrors they encountered in the past, and if they can be obtained, they can be used. He pointed to how the Slater had tamed giant mole rats in the past as beasts of burdens, and these tunnelers were just scaly humanoid versions of them. If they could tame they could tame at least a few, they might be able to create a sort of cavalry corps to handle the rest. Ground commander has been reported that the plane was crazy, but crazy enough it might work. What? Thunder over Pacific. Ooh. This is an interesting choice. The discovery of Chinese ghouls has brought forth talk that maybe, quite possibly, China survived as well. The mere existence of Enclave gives credence to that thought, and our knowledge of our dark secret past means quite possibly they will have less than good intentions. We hope to play them off until word returned that one of our trade ships had docked in Hawaii. The harbor was docked. When the harbor was docked, a large sailboat that was flying the flag of China. Nothing would happen between the two, although the captain reports of stares between our sailors and theirs. Of course, our trade flew through the flag of the United States. The ships were soon underway without incident. Word got out, spreading like wildfire. Many petitioned, even funds for an expedition across the Pacific to see if maybe, just maybe, China survived. Several issues such as an expedition are being addressed, but the most pressing issue is most of us don't actually know Chinese. Thank God for the sheet! Oh, cool. All right, so this war's done. That's great. I don't think we're eating any of you. I don't think any of you are on our... you can rejoin. Yeah, you guys aren't rejoining us, so we're going to wipe you out. So that's fine.
Why isn't your video feed
we're
working?
going to set up here.
Everything's
You are
always
going to set
tighter
up
out here at Enclave.
here. Let's get the
Enclave here.
Rangers, which we will double reinforce here as well, because I believe these guys are all in one faction. Yeah, these guys are all in their own little faction. So why don't we just double up on everything and set up an invasion force here. Take over the rest of Texas. The Yellow Rose of Texas. We still need to save up political power to do NORAD, which is fine. We're doing the Concise Machine. The trial of Samuel Cook. Samuel Cook was relatively quick, but very close to becoming a failure. Cook happily pleaded guilty to all charges and seemed to take pride in them. The cornerstone of his defense seemed that since all of his actions were taken against the NCR was no longer existed, he did nothing wrong. One flaw in his defense that while under certain legal review that might be true, the judge decided to suspend the case on those grounds that A greater legal review was needed to determine the validity of the claims. Given the state of the judicial system right now was not the time for such a review, order Samuel Cook to be frozen in cryostasis in the Sierra Army Depot until further legal review can be applied. Okay. Oh, this is another Wasteland 3 reference. 1 second. Trade caravans going through the former Baron's Ire have complained about a recent rise in radar attacks alongside the routes, so much so that the several caravan companies called for the FBI to assist. Senior Agent Suspicion immediately fell to the leader of the former Ire, who was starting to offer caravan security at increased rates. We're not stupid. We've seen this before in New Reno and the Hub. On the free side, we're just short of accusing him of what we know. The FBI pressed the question that the Baron knew anyone who would be naive enough to create a protection racket because the people would met this would end. Let's see if we can work with him. King swings to the top. The Tops Casino is advertising proudly the pre-war singer Dean Domino has returned to New Vegas for the first time in 200 years. This pre-war loud singer was previously rescued during the government-sponsored cleaning operation in the mythical Sierra Madre. After recovering in a hospital near the resort, Dean has returned to New Vegas and is ready to make a comeback to stardom once more. However, he's providing a select few performances with a few new songs and recordings developed while sitting in Sierra Madre. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give. Assembly review post palace. Oh my god, more political bullshit. Let's see. Senate's veteran bill. Don't really need this. I would rather do this. Yeah, sign the House veteran bill. Because it's just better in stability. Like, I prefer this. This is just the various armies of Mexico and other shit. We have to deal with the live wires and all this crap as well. What's the Mexican reclamation zone of this territory? Whatever. These guys got to go as well. They're oh god. Diplomatic immunity. Oh boy. At one point he used the title to show others respect out of fear in Herlong prison. President Booker was already a joke. Already, several guards have reprimanded after Booker complained about the lack of food and was tossed empty boxes of Blamco and Cram, the joke being that his government, the food wasn't real. Grayson sat across the slovenly individual, really wishing he wasn't. However, because President Booker had already been charged with secession, it made it a matter he was forced to handle as Grayson read the charges. However, Booker seemed to take it in stride. You can't charge me, you said yourself. I remember watching an old holotape about two cops going after a gun smuggler who was in foreign dignitary. Since you didn't kill me, I have diplomatic immunity. You can't, so you can just let me go. Hollywood isn't real life. I know that movie. Here's the thing. It only matters if we recognize that country, which we don't. We also don't recognize you as a head of state, so diplomatic immunity has just been revoked. Your trial's in 8 days. Oh, God, you gotta love the legal system in this regard. We're finishing these up. I don't know what the fuck's going on with these units. They're tweaking out. But we'll slowly wipe everything out and clean up everything. The perimeter guards around the base were given over to quite a sight this morning. The Slater we sent into the Divide came out riding several of the tunnelers with crew riding gear and blinders fashioned around the tunnelers' eyes. They were lined up in formation with the major at front holding a small Gideon, with the group hat the group had fashioned. Suffice to say, their human comrades loved the sight, as did the ground commander, who was not shy in singing the praise of the Slater. In short, the crazy little mutants plan worked, and they even performed a mock cavalry charge to show they know what they're doing. The press apparently picked up on this. Support for the Slater Cavalry Corps is growing among the populace. Rel has sent his best and sent all of his species beast tamers to the base and are expected to revive by vertebrate an hour. It's too early. Where's my coffee? Fucking raccoons are taming tunnelers, which is just crazy in my books. Our troops are moving along the border. Perfect. The ride of the Slater with reinforcements. The Slater plan was simple. A dedicated thrust towards the breach site and down to the depths of the tunnelers' hive. From there, the Slater would capture as many tunnelers as possible, and their beastmasters would get to work breaking these monsters in. Resistance is expected, and the tunnelers Slater broken in have been armored up and given additional blinders to hide the fact they're assaulting their own. Their noses have also been plugged to prevent them from smelling if these things give off pheromones. At dawn, the Slater Cavalry Corps rode towards the base as regular soldiers looked on and cheered. Vertibird gunships covered them overhead as the Slater charged, getting out into the base. Transports carrying the beast tamers followed close behind, ready to deploy at the breach site. First Resistance was met at the halfway between the gate and the breach, and the Slaters' new beast of burden proved instrumental in defeating their former species. Blind in sight and smell, they were attacked by their former kin. They flew into a rage, slaughtering their unarmored domestic selves. Slater riders assisted where they could and made rapid progress towards the breach, arriving in the breach by flying in a flying V formation. The Slater dove into the breach. Beast tamers and an additional company of Slater scouts deployed, ready to assist. However, everything rests on the Major and his troops, as once they're underground, we won't be able to support. Godspeed, you little bastards. Godspeed, you little bastards. Legal system sucks. Well, no, in this one, it's pretty damn good because we got to rebuild it. We're like, here's an attorney general. He's going to deal with all the bullshit. All right. Slowly but surely. President Booker sentenced. President Booker was literally dragged out of court by U.S. Marshals after being found guilty of secession, treason, extortion, larceny, and being held in contempt of court. Reporters in the courtroom noted that Booker's defense was that since, as he wasn't a citizen of the United States, he wasn't beholden to their laws. The judge dismissed the case with the Attorney General mentioning that if Booker wanted to continue these claims, he'd be turned over to military and intelligence officials, of whom the Director of National Intelligence had been summoned by Representative Graham, again stemming from notions of the recent nuclear scare. Anyone who thinks they can get away with extorting American citizens in the United States still exists, and with the long arm of American law will come for you. Some legitimacy. Oh, don't you worry. Once we wipe these, we'll take a pause. Perfect. The Concise AI. Just before the outset of the Great War, the DIA created the predictive algorithm machine, or PAM. It's the robot you can encounter in Fallout 4 that the Railroad has. Sophisticated AI that was the pinnacle of analysis AI. However, PAM was lost in Boston. It's going to be a while before we get back. Colonel Callahan, however, has been chasing its predecessor, the poorly named Mass Analytics Terminal. While it is not an AI, the basis of the technology went to inspire the Zax computer and PAM, which is what led to the device to be mothballed. The device can perform hundreds of calculations a second, from battlefield data to encrypted radio broadcasts, and now it's back in the hands of the rightful American government, and it's ready again to defeat America. Yeah, this gives you some really, really good stuff, which we should have arguably gotten whenever. We didn't really utilize it, so it's fine. Star for the future. Enclave Reborn. So we'll go ahead and get that cracked off, get that focus done. Alright, perfect. Our men are in position for this assault. We'll go ahead and give them the orders to crush them. Let's go ahead and declare the war and wipe them out. The changing of the guard. It was a light snowy day at Colorado Springs. Despite forecasts to the contrary, it fell regardless, although almost as if the heavens were weeping. In a day, in the center of a reclaimed park stood a newly built monument, a single black obsidian obelisk. On the side were the dozens of names engraved of those who were on duty on NORAD on the 23rd of October 2077, who watched the world end in nuclear fire, and for those who never made it out of the facility alive, and those whose remains were recovered, identified, and entombed beneath the obelisk. President Grant stood before the monument, and around the president stood a few military personnel and the new staff of the restored NORAD, of whom would soon begin work protecting America's skies once more. The crowd had also gathered to watch the ceremony, though more than for curiosity and an understanding of what the monument represented. The president approached the monument with a somber expression. He saluted the fallen airmen and officers. Military members followed suit, as well as the crowd in various degrees. Not a single word was uttered. A moment of silence for those who had fallen. Rest easy. You just got to think about that mindset of just like, you watch the world burn. You know, how does that make you feel? You could do nothing. You couldn't spend your last moments with your family. You just watch the world burn. Has got to be one hell of a fuck mindset. Just unimaginable suffering. But yes, we're going to wipe these guys out, and we're going to take a small breather for that. Because with them conquered, we will officially own all of Mexico. Because we have Costa-Coffee, who apparently did not side with us, which we will wipe them out. That's not a big deal. We can literally simultaneously do that, which I fucking will.
That's a no one.
Because I thought we had the fucking Baron. Apparently not, you little shit.
Video feed working?
Wipe the Baron off the face of the earth. Thank you. This. Oh shit, were you forces up here? No, you were up in the northern expedition. So yeah, you're fine. We've still got to clean up a lot of America, but we're nearly done. We're nearly done. So once those units are in place, we'll kick off that war, and we'll officially have all of Mexico and some of Central America under control. Because Gente de Sol is a federal republic, so that is that. Nothing to report. We hope they're okay. It's been several days, no word from the Slater Underground. Our seismic monitors are picking up activity, so we know they're alive down there. However, what's more interesting is the reaction to the rest of the country, to the little mutants' actions in the divide. The Slater will protect them in the tree, which... as equals the United States doesn't mean the common citizen sees them as equals. Many critics have questioned the purpose and effectiveness of the Slater Scout Corps, with many more hardline views lamenting the arming of non-human mutants. Oh, fuck off. Our little raccoon bros are doing good shit. Leave them alone. Costa Coffee. I do need to get men down here because even with... Oh, the expedition to China begins. The route to Hawaii was calm without incident, with a few sightings of ghoul whales and krakens to keep... gun crews alive and responsive. Near the islands, however, radar picked up several large identified ships moving at high speed. Too high for the vessels of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Our captains reported seeing several vessels flying the flag of China and are closing in. They don't seem to be on an intercept course, however, the image our captain sent us indicate they are not civilian vessels. Keep me posted. So we are going to wipe out Mexico's last bits of resistance. We're going to wipe out the Jewel of Texas's little bit of resistance and potentially meet with the Chinese. So this is big news for us all. Big news for us all. Forever Soldier. This is new. Red Storm rolled through Freeside, setting everybody inside for fear of radiation. Dornan himself were calmly setting up tables and chairs. He still didn't know what he was going to call the place. Maybe the oil rig? Nah. You have to think of something better. Setting up chairs, he heard the door to the place open. As clearly marked not open, but word among the veterans community in the city was that Dornan always opened for veterans, whoever needed a place to rest, especially during a rad storm. Looking over, Dornan saw a man with a robotic arm and a decent suit walk by, sit at the bar, and there was a hint of recognition. Setting a chair down, Dornan walked over, pulled up a shot glass. All we have is the local stuff, sold cheap. Thanks, Drill Sergeant, said the man before drinking the shot. Drill Sergeant, huh? What rotation are you? Asked Dornan. January 78. I was the one that got his legs stung by a bloatfly. Private Romero. I thought I recognized you. Seems you lost an arm instead of a leg. Yeah, Centurion got lucky. Swing on me. Doc couldn't save it. So that's new. I see that suit you're wearing is an army issue. So a gift from the VA loan, where I got the arm too. Figured if I got some money, I may as well see if I can double out here in Vegas. Dornish finished wiping the shot glass down before looking at Romero. Romero, I did not train you to just gamble your money you just got that was meant to help you. So you didn't listen to me in the 78, and you damn well better listen to me now. They're wanting people to help rebuild those lands we just took, and they're giving discounts to soldiers. Take your money, don't gamble it away, and go east, young man. God, Dornan is such a great character. I really wish he got a lot more writing, because he's just... It's a fantastic character that he's based around. And I love what they did for the writing for his character in here. Like, it's just so well-suiting. Absolutely so well-suited. Flashpoint. Ooh. Our captain has reported she's encircled the waters for several days. As the Chinese fleet, Robcode translator is acting a bit buggy, but for the most part we can translate what we need. Language barrier hasn't eased tensions any, with many within our expedition getting anxious of a sneak attack. Observers report the crewmen running around on their decks, possibly preparing weapons. Our captain is requesting on what exactly we want to convey to the Chinese fleet. Broadcast peaceful intentions now. Peace can change. As the Shi continue to converse with our Chinese ships, they agree to come alongside. For the first time in 200 years, the descendants of Shi Hang Ti looked upon their fellows as who were equally perplexed to see Chinese members alongside his American crew. After several emotional moments from the Shi, the commander of the Chinese ships approached our captain. With the Shi translating, we were able to describe it into a holotape. Greetings from the Democratic People's Republic, or Empire of China. We are pleased to see that you have also survived the great mistake. Based. After a few awkward gestures of bows and handshakes, as well as discovering both of them and ourselves were about to open fire, the delegation talked along through the night. They spoke of China's own Vault program and the remnants of the Red Army and even Mongolian raiders, but were far more interested in the Shi, who they couldn't believe survived the great mistake. By daybreak, spirits reigned high when the messenger from the Imperial House offered a treaty of peace and commerce on behalf of the People's Democratic Empire, and for the desire of the Emperor to meet the President. Apparently, there's quite a market for Nuka-Cola in China. Can't be trusted. Prepare for war. Wait till you try to censor this sarsaparilla. We're doing peaceful reformist. The war is over. We are no longer the governments of old. So we'll absolutely have that peaceful communication. I still have to do a lot of work in Texas and all this, but when we take all of this, it'll be fine. We will start the restoration of NORAD, bring that online proper. Finish up this war here. Fate of the Slater. Give me 1 second. You guys can read that. Just want to make sure all of our troops are... Fuck me. Do you have enough troops in this fucking border? Holy shit. Why aren't you putting the rest of it in, like, your actual fucking troops? Because, oh my god, you have all this shit, but you're just not... You're just stacked. Whatever. Our troops are going to just set up
president's watching us like a hawk.
down here as well. Just get all of our guys down here. The fate of the Slater. We received word from the Slater from the base. 2 messengers rode up to the perimeter this morning requesting additional reinforcements, supplies, as well as radios to communicate with the surface. Lead messenger, a Slater lieutenant, reported that tunnels beneath are large and expansive, and the Slater are operating in unknown territory. We don't know how large the tunnels are. The established the base camp, one of the larger nests, as well as basic aid station, but the supplies are running short. The ground commander sent a request up the chain. Supplies are on the way. Additionally, an entire battalion has been dispatched from the Burrs, many of whom being veterans of scouts across the army. At the very least, we know our mutant troops are advancing underneath, which is a welcome word to what has become a national spectacle. I knew they'd do fine. Exactly. You can't take down our raccoon boys. They're too fucking strong.
Enclave here.
Hold on. I think I did not select the whole army. Hold on. No. I want fucking... The whole army is going to go to this thing. There you go. Perfect. So 1 down, 1 to go.
Enclave here.
Just clear them all out. You guys do the same as well. Just clear them all out. Old World Blues. Get some of our stuff back. NORAD's coming online. We will annex you guys in 60 days. A couple of other reinforcements. Power whatever grids we can. Still got plenty of construction we got to keep doing. We're going to rebuild America. We got to do it right. Yep. And we're just going to go ahead and take out the coffee baron. Digital data links is done. Beautiful. Get all this up and running as well. And I've actually got like so many fucking slots at this point. The battle rages on below. Seismic activity has slowed in the past few days. The Slater have been giving status updates stating that they've traversed dozens of miles of underneath the base, mapping out an extensive network of tunnels and nests. Recent development from one of the Thames, they stumbled on a great nest complete with one of the largest tunnelers they've ever seen. The captain in charge of the platoon was forced to retreat given the resistance in numbers. They've given a description as its size. We agree with their assessment thing is that this thing is the Queen, although we don't know if it's the only one or one of many. The Majors reported that they're preparing to storm the nest alongside the best beast tamers with the plans to capture the thing alive. Operations set to commence in the evening. Give them what for, little guys. Give them what for. Economic resurgence. Some new naval bases. Erlong Reborn. We did this before. Erlong's fully restored. Alright, next focus we want to crack off on. Oh, I'm aware. We will. We just gotta get to a good point. We're riding a nice high right now. We'll do the Farson project, which will take some legitimacy, but we're okay. I want to end on a good note. We're gonna retake the remnants of the Texas shenanigans, and of course we're meeting with China. A meeting of giants. The Navy expended nothing escorting the president to Hawaii, where the meeting was agreed to take place. With the largest and most decorated ships of the fleet, the president rode in ease and comfort aboard, further guarded by the Secret Service, Marines, and Army Rangers. Upon the arrival of Marine 1, Granite's vertibird was met with fanfare by King Kamehameha. The 21st? I think that's correct. Who likewise was honored to meet the President of the United States. Within hours of arriving, the Chinese fleet was sighted. While most of the ships were not as impressive as their American counterparts, save for one, the centerpiece ship was a massive aircraft carrier. Kamehameha noted to the President that the Emperor's personal ship, indicating that Emperor had been to Hawaii before. As it docked in Pearl Harbor, the Americans lined up to meet the Chinese, who disembarked, drums beating as the procession led to a single floating platform that held what could be only assumed was the Chinese Emperor. As the floating chair came down, it halted before President Granite and the Hawaiian King. Stepping off, Granite was amazed to see a ghoul standing several inches shorter. In a heavy accent in English, the ghoul spoke, "Greetings, I am Emperor Hongdi of the Democratic People's Empire of China. On behalf of the reunited States of America, it's an honor." The Fate of the Dragon. Aside customary greetings and various photo ops for both the American and Chinese press, the two sat down for a luau hosted by King Kamehameha. Granite and Huangdi, I'm probably butchering that. My Chinese is terrible. Spent much of their time speaking to the history of their two countries, while Granite was sure to avoid some of the darker secrets. Huangdi seemed enthralled by the story of how Goku reference. God, I lost my step. Enthralled how the America reunited under Stars and Stripes and seemed intrigued about the concept of supermutants. Conversely, the People's Republic never recovered. Their own vault program was meant to provide for war effort rather than allow for the survival of a nuclear holocaust. However, the CCP Master Vault was destroyed by marauding U.S. remnants. Thus, the vaults were left to themselves for 150 years. They were separated kingdoms under their own rule. It wasn't until 2243, with an effort led by the greatest vaults in an attempt to reunify China and restore it to its former glory. Marrying new and old, the Democratic People's Empire of China was born from the ashes of the old world as something more. Suffice it to say, when his trade ships reported seeing vessels flying in the Stars and Stripes, he became quite worried about opening old wounds that could see the world destroyed again. Upon receiving peaceful overtures, he's glad America has come to the new world a better country and not a land of genocidal maniacs stuck in the past. Okay. As the stories and meals come to an end, the main event comes upon everybody. While the Great War was an epoch event that saw the deaths of billions, the destruction of centuries, and the unmitigated eradication of nearly every species, the end seems so trivial. A simple paper with simple text stating the United States and China ceased hostilities, wishing to begin a new era of peace. The events were too far in the past to assign blame, and at this point, what does it even matter? As the Emperor prepares his own pen, Granite looks at the paper and reflects on the events he had happened, the events to come. God bless America and nobody else. President Granite shoots the Chinese Emperor. No, the Great War is over. It's over. The end of the Great War. With a stroke of a pen, the Chinese Emperor and the American President end the century of conflict. After 200 years of destruction it wrought, cheers went up among Americans, Chinese, and Hawaiian members of the crowd, although at moments it seemed bittersweet. While hostilities were over, it almost seemed pointless in the modern day. From the Mongol raider-plagued wastes of the Gobi, the super mutant cannibal forests of Oregon, the idea of peace seemed superfluous, whatever. The Great War lasted just 2 hours, obliterated the Earth, and neither China or the U.S. has been at war with each other ever since. And yet, as the President and the Emperor shake hands for the camera, one can't help but feel hope for a return to civilization, a return to stability, and the two greatest powers of the old world can maybe make something anew. We won't know until we try. Main Street U.S. and China. So as the festivities continue, the question came up again about the American forces in China. After some talks, it became clear that most of the deployed armed forces devolved into raiders that died off over the years or perished in a desperate attempt to return home, although others have integrated with their Chinese counterparts. Oh yeah, what's your question? However, the center of all American activity in China, Shanghai, maintained a sizable American presence and culture not unlike San Francisco. Over the decades, descendants built mirror image of the United States, representing its pre-war ideals while meddling with the Chinese culture. Already, Americans are eager to visit the city, and many from the Chinese delegation are eager to see San Francisco. Good to know. Oh, absolutely. I'd probably play the shit out of that. I like CK3. Okay, so that's the death of the Cherokee Nation. Let's get this wrapped up. And then we're going to wipe out Costa Coffee, Coffee Baron of old. Thinking about it there for a minute. Install power grids, power the grids, make new grids. Same as before. Go ahead and restore some further Air Force bases and the like. And we will save the rest of that for yet another episode. It's been a long one. It has definitely been a long one. This is going to be one of the longer videos I've put out. But it is safe to say the United States is completely unstoppable. The Mexican democracies have been annexed under the Mexican Reclamation Society. The barons of the North and the trading federations of the North have been wiped out. We still have much to do, but we have met with China and signed peace. But this is not the end for the United States. No, no, no. I don't know about you. I'd love to see the United States banner across the entirety of the West Coast all the way to the Midwest. So we will see you folks in another episode of Enclave Reborn Redux. We're not done, we're not done, we're not done, we're not done! So we still have plenty to do. So, if you want to see more of this content or you have suggestions for another run, by all means, we're not done here, but maybe a purist run? Maybe we'll play as the Republic of Mexico. That is a fun one as well. Hell, if you really want, we could play the MCR, I guess. But until next time, folks, we'll see you in the next episode. Stay safe out there and look out for the next episode coming soon. We'll see you.